What is going on, everybody? It is episode 676 of Pop Culture Crisis. My name is Brett. I'm here once again with my co-host. Would you introduce yourself, please?
Hi, Crisis Actors. It's Mary. We have a two-person show today because Dane is out. It's not going to be a Woman Wednesday without Dane. Yes. We miss him dearly. It's really because, you know, even though we promised not to show him any videos of the Rizzler and Big Justice, he didn't trust us.
Is that the guy's name?
We've destroyed our professional relationship with Dane because of the Boom family.
It's all their fault.
So I guess it's all their fault.
You know what? We mourn our loss for Dane not being here because of Big Justice and the Rizzler.
I know this is totally unrelated, but we were just talking about this off air, and I want to know your thoughts. Okay. Someone brought up like pumpkin carving in the chat, and I was like, oh, Halloween's coming up. Mm-hmm. And I want to know when you guys stopped trick-or-treating and when you think it's like it becomes age inappropriate to continue.
Chat, let us know. When is it officially age inappropriate to go trick-or-treating? We're going to have to ask you. I would have to call my dad and ask him. I was definitely not very old. But
were you under 10 when you stopped?
Probably 10.
10 is the last
10.
year, but you think it's like inappropriate for like an 11-year-old?
I make no judgments. If they want to go at 11, sure, I don't care.
Yeah, I feel like once you're in middle school, you should stop.
That makes the most sense.
I think that's when I did.
Well, I went to a junior high, and junior high and middle school start at different times.
Oh yeah, I never understood the difference.
So mine was like I went K through 6, 7 through 9, 10, 11, 12.
Huh. Why do they do it like that?
There's somebody in the chat probably has like a really good explanation as to why it is the way it is, but that's just what it was at my school. It was a junior high, not a middle school, and even back then I didn't understand what the difference was.
Trying to keep the super seniors who are like 20 as far away from the kids as possible.
Pretty much, yeah. Well, in my junior high and my elementary school were right next to each other and like right by my house, so I could walk to school, and the high school was like farther up the street.
You walked uphill in the snow both ways.
Honestly, you could actually do that where I did if you took different ways to get there. So if you went up the road and like past the junior high on the way to going to the elementary school, you could theoretically go uphill that way and then uphill again if you went the other way from the elementary school through the park, through it's a Potawatomi Park. Theoretically, I could have gone uphill both ways if I wanted to.
To the true Minnesotan spirit.
Yeah. And in the snow, you had to wear specific shoes so you wouldn't fall in the snow and the ice. After somebody was slandering me yesterday, saying that we love the cold and eat bland food.
The bland food part we realized was totally true.
Kind of true.
Mm-hmm. You told me after we ended the show that you ordered meatloaf at a Cracker Barrel or anywhere. I mean,
first time I'd ever been to a Cracker Barrel.
It doesn't matter where you are. Why would you ever order meatloaf at a restaurant?
It was good.
I will begrudgingly eat it if someone invites me into their home and that's like what they're serving me.
If I'm being honest, it's because it felt like something you order.
Voluntarily?
It felt like something you order at a Cracker Barrel.
It's mostly like breakfast food restaurant, right?
No.
Am I wrong?
No, you're wrong. You're wrong.
I don't know.
Full dinner menu. I
know it has that. But
I lived by a Cracker Barrel growing up, and I never once ate at the restaurant. I just went into like the general store area and bought candy when I was a kid.
Yeah, that's the true reason why you go. But just the idea of voluntarily eating meatloaf.
It was good. And
like paying for it.
I paid for it. It was cheap. It wasn't expensive either.
Chat, am I wrong? Is that crazy or what?
She's right. She's crazy.
Maybe I'm the crazy one. Maybe meatloaf is where it's at. Maybe I...
Dental Misorder says meatloaf haters are LGBT allies. So...
What?
It felt like something you eat at a Cracker Barrel, and it was really good. It was I ate it with mashed potatoes. I enjoyed it. So.
Good for you.
I'm gonna go back because it was cheap. It was not expensive.
Fine.
So. I'll tell you what. Like you made fun of Olive Garden. I'll tell you what. It's way cheaper than Olive Garden.
Yeah, and Olive Garden is...
And I like Olive Garden.
Like, I'm not picky, but Olive Garden really is kind of toxic sludge.
I love Olive Garden too. I'm easy to please.
I kind of just like the breadsticks and the salad.
Yeah,
That's
it.
it.
Well, maybe that's what it is. It's like the breadsticks are free, but because it's so expensive, it's not actually free. You're basically paying for them in the price for the rest of the food.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of like that old meme.
Shrinkflation.
It's that meme that used to go around about how the Five Guys creator would talk about how, like, you know, they would dump extra fries into your bag, but it's actually worked into the cost, but you feel like you get more because it overflows from the cup.
I'm getting too hungry right now.
Yeah, I know, right? Okay, guys, let's move on. Let's get started then, because my stomach's going to start growling, and then it's going to delay everything.
It's all over
yeah,
from
it is.
there.
So what are we talking about today? Well, we got a bunch to get into, but before we do that, guys, would you hit the like button on this video and subscribe to this channel if you have not subscribed here yet already? Please and thank you. Share the video with your friends, your family, your loved ones, the people you like, the people you hate, everyone in between. Just share it out in a mass text so that you can help the channel grow. The best way to help us expand this channel is to share the videos out. So thank you for that. And remember that all Super Chats, $20 and over, we will interrupt the discussion and we will read those Super Chats right then and there. So what are we talking about today? Well, we were right. You know, it was always anonymous sources before, but we were right. Ben and Jen are donezo. Jennifer Lopez has filed for divorce from Ben Affleck. It's funny because I asked the question beforehand. I said, who's going to get whose money? I mean, I don't know if either of them are going to get either person's money, but who is going to be taken care of in the manner in which they're accustomed? Well, it looks like that'll be Ben because J-Lo is worth quite a bit more than him. So we're going to talk about the divorce. We're going to talk about Chapel Roan once again. If you don't know what a Chapel Roan is, we'll get into it. But she had a video that went fairly viral talking about behavior and boundaries with her fans, which is fairly interesting if you like the concept of discussing, you know, what does it take to be a celebrity, and once you've accepted that path, you kind of have to just put up with some of the downsides to that. So we'll get into it. Also, there is a new trend going on because all of female experience now is done through social media trends. How would you describe it? It's literally just the word demure.
I'm fumbling right now because I need to put money in the money gun. But yeah, this is the antidote, I guess, to Brat Summer. The Brat Summer meme was all about being ungovernable, being loud, being messy, being blunt, drinking too much, doing ketamine.
It's basically just being Kesha in 2010.
Basically, yeah. And Demure, mindful, and cutesy is the answer to the Brat Summer TikTok trend. It's the new buzzword that's been going around. So we're going to discuss what that means for the state of femininity. I hate journalists.
Yeah.
That's where we're at.
Because all of womanhood is now just decided through TikTok trends.
Yeah, we're in a dark place.
Yep. So, if you're ready, Mary, then we can just get started. You ready?
Let's go.
Let's go. First things first, guys. Let's get started. Let's watch this trailer for a new movie coming out starring Rachel Zegler called Y2K.
I am actually quite excited for this. It's an interesting concept.
Let's check this out here.
Y2K.
Oh my gosh, it's A24.
Just talk to her, dude.
What's up, Laura?
We're actually going to this New Year's thing. It's going to be a total shit show.
Oh.
See ya.
Is she about to do Edward 40 Hands? Because I would like to see Rachel Zegler do Edward 40 Hands.
Wait, can you please explain what that means?
You duct tape 240s to your hands and you can't take them off until they're gone.
I knew you had explained that before, but I forgot.
I've lived a life.
I've never seen that.
Let's continue.
Okay.
1999, and we getting drunk.
In a few hours, you have an excuse to kiss the girl of your dreams.
Why is there just a random British guy?
This way.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's so smooth.
How can you compete? The guy's wearing a tracksuit.
Right?
Y2K is real.
Someone's on the net.
Dumbass. I use gel.
You've got mail.
Oh, shit. A Tamagotchi just drilled through a chick's head. Come on, we gotta go.
we are experiencing major problems as a result of the Y2K breakdown.
Bye-bye, human race.
We're talking global computer apocalypse.
Sorry, guys. I guess you're fucked.
They made a video and everything. That's crazy. You don't know how this shit works.
Grab a bike, grab a board, grab whatever you can.
This has been the shittiest night of my life.
Fuck this!
But it's cool that we got to hang out for once.
Oh, let go! I get knocked out, but I get up again.
I like the Fred Durst red hat. That's backwards, but it's definitely a Fred Durst red hat.
Yeah. So does this bring back nostalgia for you?
Well, one of the problems with nostalgia is it dumps everything on you all at once and acts as if that's what the world was like.
Right.
You know, like when people show you the cups.
We got a 20 from Benjamin Mauser. He said Maximum Overdrive 2.0 without Emilio Estevez.
Yeah.
We got another $100 super chat from, how on earth do I pronounce that? Do you see it? Skoborsh Coiling Cough. I hope I said that right. Happy belated birthday to my favorite background noise. Now try to keep it down. I'll quiet down for you.
There you
no
go.
problem. Thank you for the crisis party.
You know when people, thank you very much for that. You know when people show you these cups? That's what
Yes.
they want you to
Yes.
believe that that's what everything in a certain time period looked like.
That's what every cup looked like
it's
prior
not.
to 2005.
It's not, okay?
Yeah.
This movie didn't lean into that too heavy. Like,
No.
it does it by, like, showing you all of the various pieces of tech, but they weren't all dressed as if it was somebody's memory of what the 90s looked like rather than what it actually was.
It wasn't like, the clueless vomit
Yes,
of
correct.
a wardrobe.
Yeah.
But they still did Rachel Zegler's hair in a way that was, like, appropriate for the time.
What did she say at the beginning there? Hold on, I gotta...
Wild chicken.
Sorry.
Wait, what do you mean?
Hold on, I want to see what she said here.
Get the midnight kiss.
Just talk to her, dude.
What's up, Laura?
We're actually going to this New Year's thing. It's going to be a total shit show.
I mean, shit show is a pretty common term back. I'm trying to think of, like, language that would have been unique to the time period, right?
I wouldn't know. You're the expert here.
like,
Tell us if it's
skating-
historically accurate.
It's different because skating had its own subculture and lingo that was
Sure.
different from whatever the mainstream lingo was at the time. But look, this is a good, like, stores like this are a good chance to do those types of things because you can drop in, like, old packaging. That's a great way to bring out, like, the time period. I mean, just putting juicy fruit in, or not juicy fruit. What's the fruit stripe gum?
What?
You guys know what I'm talking about. The flavor lasted for like 5 seconds.
Is it like the
Yeah.
layers?
It's no, it was like somebody in the chat. It had like the zebra. Yeah, thank you. It was like the zebra gum or whatever, and it lasted. The flavor was like non-existent. It was gone instantly, right? You put products like that, or even now you could put like what is it that was they got rid of a couple years ago? Choco Taco, which no longer exists anymore.
Sadly,
Yeah.
a lot of things have been lost to the sands of time.
Fruit stripe. Thank you.
I'm learning a lot
Thank you.
right now. Thank you.
Thank you, fruit stripe.
We're thinking of replacing the crisis party soon.
I like following the channels that do like forgotten foods, like Doritos 3Ds.
Or like
why you needed 3D chips, I have no idea, but they were amazing.
Entire channels dedicated to archival footage and like lost media.
I love
things
it.
like that.
It always plays that really unsettling song in the background. The really unsettling like trance techno song in the background. It's like do 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 do. Yeah, I love it, and the concept is great. Look, this was an actual thing where people were worried about what was going to happen when your computer's clock suddenly reset. and didn't
Was
know
it really about that?
From what I remember, it was about, your computer won't know what year it is because it doesn't go up to the year 2000 or something, right? Like that's my general remembrance of it in a lot of general panic. But I'll tell you what, that panic would have been way worse now given the internet. Like prior to mainstream internet use.
Like if people were allowed to communicate about it beforehand. But
like they thought it was going to ruin like the banking system.
It happened.
Like your bank account would disappear.
I mean, there was a movie about like the 2012 apocalypse theory, right? Based on the Mayan calendar.
Yes.
They made a movie about that, didn't they? Am I wrong?
There was a movie called 2012. I don't know if it had to do with the Mayan calendar.
I could be wrong. But it definitely wasn't as strong as
they thought planes were gonna.
Y2K.
They thought planes were gonna fall out of the sky, which we saw 2 planes run into each other into that in that trailer.
We got another 20 from Crispy Leg Transport. They need a Circuit City in that movie.
Yes, they do.
Installed my 10 CD changer and 12-inch speakers during that era.
Look, there's
What's Circuit City?
Circuit City was an electronics store. Here's a funny
Was it
story.
like Radio Shack?
I think like they need a Radio Shack in there too.
Yeah.
My brother, that was like, I got my first cell phone from a Radio Shack because my brother worked at a Radio Shack through Sprint back then. Even Sprint, is Sprint even still around anymore? I thought Sprint got bought by another company.
Oh, did it get acquired by T-Mobile?
Like something like that, right? Like think of all of the consolidation that's gone on since then. But where I lived in Minnesota, not where I grew up, but like where I lived after that, there was definitely a Circuit City that it had to be the last one in existence, and it just hung on. Mm-hmm. I might have to go back and check and see if that thing is still there. It's probably something else now. It's probably a Planet Fitness now.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like we've kind of destroyed like even they went right for the jugular with the AOL right at the beginning.
I think obviously millennials are going to want to go see this because it's got the nostalgia factor. I think Gen Z is really going to want to see this because they are nostalgic for a time in which they never lived. Yeah. And they want to see young people like still being able to socialize and not be autistic in a movie.
Well, yeah, see, back then you just went to house parties and you drank alcohol and you had
Not like
fun.
That never happens now, but I'm just saying Gen Z is far less sociable than millennials were at the same age. So it's got a novelty to it for Gen Z to watch this.
Now, like, even if we live in an age now where like your parents don't want to, like your parents say, no, you cannot drink alcohol. You can't just go to house parties because people are going to be filming shit on their phones.
True.
And your parents will end up finding it. Like
I mean, that what happened with Snapchat like 10 years ago.
The reason why so much of society, I think, is so on edge is because you have to be worried about you can't just act silly.
Or if someone has like a Ring camera system in their house, you don't even know when you're being watched.
Not to mention all of the things that, like, it's not about what you got caught doing. It's about all the stuff you got away with doing when you were young back then. Now the chances of all that stuff being, And
the helicopter parenting.
Yeah.
It might have been more pronounced when I was in high school because I went to a private religious school.
Yeah.
So there were more helicopter parents than maybe normal. Yeah. But I didn't know anyone who was allowed to party. I didn't know anyone who was allowed to.
Well, it's not about being allowed to
do anything really. And they seem to, because they were good kids, they seem to really care about abiding by those rules.
It's funny because I would like to think that I was a pretty good kid. I didn't get into trouble with the law. Technically, everything I did was illegal because skating was technically illegal if you're going out and doing it on public property, which is the funny part, right? But I didn't start. I didn't drink until senior year in high school. I think I waited till senior year in high school to go to parties and stuff like that. And even then, not excessively. And for the most part, focused all my time and energy on skating. So I wasn't really held to any like rigorous standards because I never gave my parents a reason to worry about what I was doing.
Yeah.
Right. But I still have photos from back then that indicate bad behavior, but it was a coming of, that was part of your, it's a coming of age ritual in a lot of ways. It was part of growing up at that time in that culture, especially in the suburbs.
I wouldn't know. That was not my personal experience.
I would totally believe that this movie all came about on the idea that somebody's like, and then a Tamagotchi gets on a car and then kills someone.
Yeah, that's fun. So even though I have a bit of a grudge against A24 as a subculture, it's almost become a subculture, like a group of, like a community. Like as much as I have a grudge against A24, this does seem like a fun movie.
Like even the cordless phone, right? Like I didn't see the last Scream movie. Did they use cordless phones in the last Scream movie? Because that was like one of the iconic parts of that franchise was that you answer a phone at home. You answer the cordless phone. I think that I saw somebody mention that they still did it. I still remember when they did it in the Scream television series, and she answers a cordless phone. I'm like, what kid is answering a cordless phone in 2015?
Yeah, like who still has a landline in 2015?
Well, I mean, your parents did. Your parents still had a landline.
Not mine.
In 2015?
No.
Okay.
No, they got rid of it like years before that. So it's a little bit out of date.
So, look, I think they did a good job of not overdoing the 90s vomit. Like right there, the Tommy Hilfiger is perfect embodiment of that time period. It is.
And then she's wearing like low-rise jeans there. Yeah,
it's good. I like it. The guy should have Old Navy jeans on though. He should be wearing Old Navy.
We have a 20 from Gordon Shumway. The big fear was that a lot of computers that controlled critical things like the power grids and nuclear missiles were going to go haywire. I had to pull an all-nighter working in a hospital. It was a big nothing burger.
I mean, that must have been nice, right? Like, you get through it, you're like, nothing explodes, none of the heart monitors go out, none of the machines.
What if only the unimportant stuff
like, okay,
goes haywire?
Gordon, did I guess they wouldn't be doing surgery at midnight, would they? But they'd be doing emergency surgery. Like, did they, like, halt emergency surgeries to make sure that all the equipment was still working? I need to know.
People relied on computers even less back then than we realize.
Somebody says no hacky sack or Jinkos. Yes, somebody should have been playing with a hacky sack or a Duncan yo-yo, a butterfly or a butterfly yo-yo.
Trying to avoid the 90s vomit.
Yes.
So it's funny because like even the 90s movies themselves were more 90s vomit than this. Have you noticed that?
What do you mean?
I was just thinking about Clueless yesterday because of Alicia Silverstone risking her life.
Well, I mean, because it was indicative of the time, right? They leaned in. It was a time people actually enjoyed, so you could lean into it. Imagine a time, Mary, where people actually wanted to be in the time period they were, rather than yearning for another time.
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
I mean, Y2K as an aesthetic had this fixation on the future, though. And that's why everything was frosty blue and chrome and white, and all of the Backstreet Boys music videos looked like that. Everyone loved like the see-through furniture and see-through tech and all of that stuff. People were really into the idea of the future because there was this optimism about the future that no longer exists. I guess maybe that's why minimalism is the thing now.
I love this one. It says like no one rap videos in the 90s and they all look like cheese graters. Like if you go rewatch the music video for Mo Money Mo Problems, it's literally this.
It's like me inside a cheese grater.
Yeah.
Help, I'm in a cheese grater.
Look, it was
Someone get me out of this cheese grater.
It was a fantastic time to be alive. It was. I feel very fortunate that I got to do that. So. All right, let's move on. Somebody else who was very fortunate was Theo Vaughn, who got to interview Donald Trump and talk to 45 about cocaine.
I think this is a very humanizing moment for Trump.
Guys, I want everyone, if you can, go to Theo Vaughn's Instagram and look at the picture he posted for this and look at how bad the Photoshop is on Donald Trump's hair. It's amazing.
I didn't think it was as bad as you said,
it's
but
awful.
They're in Mar-a-Lago here, I assume.
Let's watch this clip here.
The big problem we have is, fentanyl is probably the biggest. Opioid is bad. Opioid is bad too. Yeah. I think that's bad because everyone thinks, in many cases, they think they're going to do away with pain. And literally the time is so short. If you take it for like 2 weeks, you're almost addicted to it.
Hold, please. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Okay, continue.
incredible when you.
Oh, well, the whole all of that is horrible. But
How
why
did
do
you
we
get
allow
How
that
did
to?
you get addicted? How did?
No, I would just do cocaine. That was really So not just.
Trump's
Just
giggle.
told a former president. He's like,
This
yeah, I
Trump
just did a
being
lot
like-
of cocaine.
Huh?
That's
And it was-
that's down and dirty, right?
And this is this. I mean, it was
But you don't anymore.
No, I don't do it anymore, man, and I'm not doing
Is
it.
it too much? Too much to handle?
Some of the stuff started to get a real rattle in it too. I don't know where
I love Theo
getting
Von.
it from in this country, but yeah, it started to make me feel like I was a mechanic or something.
So the thing you get back to then is alcohol for the most part.
Right, yeah, but what I want probably is cocaine, but I know that if I have a drink, then it'll be like, okay, well, I had a drink, then I can do this.
Is cocaine a stronger
Oh, yeah.
up?
Yeah. Cocaine will make
So you're way up with cocaine more than anything else you can think of.
Cocaine will turn you into a damn owl, homie. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You'll be out on your own porch, you know.
Yeah.
Wait till Donald Trump learns about meth.
You'll be your own street lamp. You're freaking.
And is that a good feeling? Well,
No,
it's
horrible.
a miserable feeling.
But you do it
As
anyway, just like the guy you're saying with the scotch.
He's wrong. It's a great feeling when you do it. It's a horrible feeling when you come down.
Well, theoretically,
he's
Theo
locked.
Von is speaking from experience here.
Well, yeah, but I love the idea that Donald Trump's just never heard of meth before. He's like,
Oh, that's down and dirty
that's
stuff.
down and
right
dirty,
there.
man.
But
Let's see if this has the photo. Yeah, look at that Photoshop. I'm sorry, they did my dude's hair just absolutely
Okay.
dirty there.
bro looks like a trapezoid. It's fine. But they were talking about that because I think Theo Von brought up Trump's brother being an alcoholic,
Yeah.
and that's why Trump has said for years that he hasn't ever drank alcohol. He's sworn off alcohol and drugs for life. But I admit I find it hard to believe he never even tried cocaine in the 90s.
Donald Trump, all those lavish parties in the 90s. You know,
We've seen the
look,
videos.
We're going to be talking about The Crow today. One thing that is apparently true is that just on the set of The Crow, the original 1994 Crow, the cocaine was just flowing.
Is that true?
Like, so there
do
was
you know?
apparently it was in when I was reading about the film, and it's really funny because there's apparently a scene where there was a story where somebody like an extra or somebody in the background, some set member sneezes and Brandon Lee was like, somebody just lost $50. So I don't know if
Wait, do you think that drug culture is a little bit more hush-hush on Hollywood sets now?
Yes. I mean, maybe not there, internally amongst themselves, but it's definitely probably not spoken of to the public in a way. It's like, keep it in the trailer. Mm-hmm. Keep it in your trailer.
Mostly
right?
for liability reasons.
Yeah, of course.
I'm guessing.
Right? It's just funny because I know. I'll talk about it more when we get to
we'll
when
get
we get
there.
to that topic. But I'm just saying, whoever Theo Von employs to do his thumbnails doesn't like Donald Trump. That's all I can glean from this.
I think he looks great.
It's amazing.
I love it.
All right, so that's down and dirty, man. That needs to become a saying now. That's down and dirty, man.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on then. So you tweeted about this, and it's really
Yes.
funny because I saw somebody else bringing this up because somebody listed all these shows that were canceled. They're like, The Acolyte got canceled, My Lady Jane got canceled. So if you want to remind people what My Lady Jane was, because we talked about it on the show.
So about a month ago, we talked about this super woke Amazon show called My Lady Jane. And there's this one still from the show that went super viral where Jane is standing in front of the person who plays the King of England in the show.
I want to buy this wheelchair.
He happens to be gay, black, and disabled in the show, which is the woke trifecta. And our video about that did numbers because people didn't know what this came from. We found out and we did investigation into it. And now we found out that after one season of the show, it has been canceled by Amazon. So she will be missed.
Look,
you actually,
I thought it would be
think
better.
when we were discussing it, you said you predicted it would last
Couple
at least,
seasons.
like 3 seasons or more because it does so well with like the woke female audience.
I should have done more. I should have thought harder about it. So if this had gone to a network, I think it would have done better. Interview with the Vampires going into season 2 or just finished season 2 and it's like greenlit already for season 3. If they would have washed this out, made it more PG-13 and put it on network TV, maybe it would have done better.
I'm
sorry, not network, but like cable, like AMC.
Sure. But like what people are missing with all of this discussion of shows getting canceled after 1 to 2 seasons is that, you know, the network TV model allowed a lot of shows to have grace or time.
Yeah, because they actually still made money.
Find their own voice because they still made money rather than being a complete drain on the streaming service. But that's not a point that is going to resonate with a bunch of angry people on Twitter.
Because they were mad, I decided to, everyone was dunking on them. Because look, you deserve to be dunked on if you think The Acolyte is comparable to Breaking Bad or Buffy the Vampire Slayer. You are. You deserve to be mocked. But rather than mock them, I decided to commiserate. I decided to be like, look, you're not the first person on the planet who's ever had a show they liked get canceled before it had time to, as you would say, blossom. So I have listed a bunch of shows for them that I wish had gotten more than 1 or 2 seasons. And frankly, I think we should all be able to come together and rejoice around the fact that we have a shared life experience now. You don't always get what you want. And if I wanted to take their perspective on things, I could be like, look, this is racist. It's almost all white men who led these shows. I think these networks have a problem with white men.
Do you think that this is an example of get woke, go broke? Because we've debated whether that's a true statement in the past. Is this an example of it?
Somebody says no Firefly. My friend Firefly is right there. You're not reading the list. That's a very good question. It was... I just don't know if I buy that anymore. Like, I feel like so much of this stuff gets subsidized for longer than a season, but maybe that is going to be the case now. Like, look, we're out of 2020. Like, there isn't as much money to go around. The strike last year, they're looking to cut costs. Inflation is up. The cost of making a TV show is much higher than it used to be.
Yeah.
You know, maybe they can't afford to have these shows just sit there with crappy viewership.
Well, it is Amazon at the end of the day, so they're going to be fine.
Oh, somebody said Marco Polo. I should have added.
Amazon is not going to go broke because they...
No.
Like one tentacle of their empire
made
one show that didn't do well in viewership numbers. Like they're going to be fine.
If the idea here is that Amazon is going to go broke, no. Absolutely
Maybe
not.
the individuals who were involved in the show.
Get woke, get subsidized.
I love that this is going on at the same time as the Acolyte cancellation cope, because I'm looking at some of the tweets right now. One person said, at Amazon Prime, when we catch you, why can't we have anything good? The show has everything: drama, romance, fantasy, comedy, gorgeous costumes, and protagonists that have insane chemistry. My Lady Jane deserved better.
I love it when people said the same things, like, how could you cancel The Acolyte? The writing was superb. And the top comment just said, y'all just be lying.
This one piece from Forbes said, ratings and money always dictate these decisions, but I wish streamers like Amazon had something else. Vision and the courage to give something new the space and time it needs to grow. I truly believe that My Lady Jane would have continued to build a loyal and passionate audience. After all, its fans are loyal already. Now, all the charm and effort that made this series so great has been cut short.
I mean, it's possibly true. Like, here's something that I actually do believe is true. I believe that there is a better chance that My Lady Jane found an audience than The Acolyte.
Mm-hmm.
I do. I believe that the audience around Star Wars is fairly set, and that people aren't touristing their way into random Star Wars shows because there's so much that comes with the idea of lore behind it that
it's too intimidating.
Somebody passing by and just finding it and liking it, there's too much wink and nod.
Yeah.
Right? So I believe that if you had given both shows 2 or 3 years, My Lady Jane had a better chance of finding an audience and costing way less.
Can you imagine watching The Acolyte as your first, introduction into anything Star Wars, and then you just see like Plagueis in that one scene, and you're like, what the fuck? Like, there was just so much in it that was just like very self-referential, but also not respecting anything that it was referencing, and not respecting any of the people that they were winking and nodding to.
Well, that's the problem. That's what I mean when I say that, like, it would be easier for My Lady Jane to find an audience because you don't have to worry about endless wink and nod. In fact, my point a lot of the times is that the best adaptations, continuations, sequels, or remakes don't wink and nod as much. So if on this list I have Terminator, the Sarah Connor Chronicles, and they wink and nod very little at like the classic parts of Terminator, right? So there's a scene in like the first or second episode where Summer Glau's character pulls up and says, "Come with me if you want to live." And that's the only heavy-handed moment that I can feel, other than it just operating on the premise of Terminators and time travel, where it winks and nods at the film heavily. Like, there's still callbacks to it, but it's so subtle that somebody who's just watching doesn't feel like they're missing something by watching it, right? So I think My Lady Jane was better off. But like right now, that show Interview with the Vampire is doing way better than I thought that was going to crash and burn in season 1.
Yeah, sometimes the viewership is high, but you don't see anyone talking about it. And then in the case of The Acolyte, everyone's talking about it on Twitter and on YouTube. But the commentary doesn't match up to the amount of people actually putting in the effort to watch it. And what these people don't seem to understand is the amount of people watching it is the only thing that matters to Amazon or to any of these streaming platforms. Like, they pointed out, oh, but it got a 94% from critics on Rotten Tomatoes. Why would Amazon cancel it? That doesn't translate to money.
But the thing is you almost can't blame them for not knowing, because these companies spend so much money to say, like, we're doing this for this virtuous reason.
Yeah.
So it just means that they're not, here, I'm going to use their word, media literate. Their media literacy is bad. Their corporate literacy is bad. And they don't understand that when they say that they're doing it for virtuous reasons, when they say that they're making shows for social justice reasons, no. They believe that they believe erroneously that these social justice themes will sell their product, which it won't.
They're also trying to drum up sympathy for the cast and crew who are now out of work. So they said someone needs to start a petition for My Lady Jane. That's one of the best shows on Prime Video. The cast and crew deserve so much better. And there are all these people posting videos they're posting the GIF of Cillian Murphy in Peaky Blinders where he's pointing the gun at his head. Like, you should not be suicidal over the end of an Amazon show.
No, and I mean, that's
Get a hold of yourself.
Like, I don't know what's worse, like hero worship of celebrities or hero worship of shows, right? My point by making this is, like, life is full of disappointment. Okay, there are shows on this list that I really, really enjoyed. A couple of them I included as like a joke, like Mortal Kombat Conquest, which is only one season and it's so bad it's good. But like, there were shows on here that I believe had a lot more capability to go farther. Jeremiah specifically, Battle Creek specifically, Life specifically. All of these shows, the booth at the end, all of them had fantastic concepts and ideas that just didn't find their audience in the time period.
Wait, are they right that Buffy would have been canceled now?
No, I don't believe so.
No.
Oh, canceled now. If it was on network TV? If it was on streaming?
On streaming. If it were on streaming.
They're not fair comparisons. It's apples to oranges. It's like the X-Files did bad numbers in season 1, and bad numbers in 1993 meant like 23 million viewers because it was 1993. Nobody else had anything to do at night.
That's very true.
Like, it was a different time period. Like, you could make
we had more of a monoculture.
Oh, I did forget Dark. Oh my gosh, they're pointing out all the shows that I should have added on here. I made the mistake with, like, I included some of these shows only got one season, and
Someone
some
said
of them
Buffy was trash. Thank you.
No. Some of these shows I included had 2 seasons and some of them had 1. I tried to stick to that rule. But if I had adhered to 2 series, like got 2 seasons but deserved more to all of it, I would have added Dollhouse. I would have added Dark Angel, because that got 2 seasons but needed a 3rd. There was a lot of them. And
well, you don't you're just, you know, sometimes assuming that the season you never got would have been just as good.
Yeah, or better. Well,
and usually that's not true.
Like even Dark Angel, in my opinion, had a great first season, and season 2, a lot of people don't like it. So, like, what's to say that season 3 would have found its voice?
It's like when the ladies from Force of Light were talking about Stranger Things, and they were like, oh, I know, like, season 3 was, like, not as good, but you just have to get through that, and then it gets really good. And I'm like, I can't do it. I can't care enough to sit through all of that bullshit.
Well, no, what it usually is there's a baseline level of good for the bad seasons that people, what they don't realize is, like, you don't realize those first seasons aren't as good as the seasons after, right? So you, by comparison, they say you got to get through the first 3 seasons and then it gets really good. Well, you're discounting the fact that the bad first 3 seasons are still better than average.
Sure.
Right? So there's a difference between somebody saying something has like awful season 1 through 3 and then it gets really good in season 4. That doesn't usually work. Usually it's just a baseline level, right? So Arrow had a really, really good first 2 seasons, a highly mediocre season 3 revolving around Ra's al Ghul. Season 4 with Damien Dark was atrocious and everybody hated it. And then season 5, when they brought in Prometheus, was good and really good return to form. But none of them were as good as those first 2 seasons, right? So if it had been mediocre seasons 1 and 2 and then got good in 3 and 4, that would have been a different thing.
Yeah, usually it's season 5 for all of these shows that end up going long that it's the cursed season.
Well, think about, like, look, Scream had its own television show that went for several seasons. They tried to do an I Know What You Did Last Summer TV show last year that nobody watched, as far as I know.
I don't even remember that.
Yeah.
That happened?
Yep, they did that. Now they're making the movie. The Pretender, I see somebody mentioning The Pretender. The Pretender is on Amazon Prime and a lot of fun. So, yeah. It's what happens. I don't know if it's get woke, go broke. I think it's a poor comparison because the network television model that included ads in everything is very, very different. The closest you'd be able to do to find it now would be like if you watched a Roku channel original that has commercials built into it, or a Freevee original. But even Freevee originals are free without ads if you have Amazon Prime.
Well, people got so accustomed to, in the age of streaming, not having to watch ads, and now they're not going to accept going back to the old way.
I got into a discussion with somebody the other day. Roku has mastered this. The commercial model on Roku is perfect for somebody like me who's just ADHD enough where I can tune out for the length of that commercial, even if there's several of them an episode. Some of these
20 from Pop Culture Junkie. He said, "Be aware that some shows that were doing bad on network TV got an additional season because the network had poor development in the pipeline."
Well, like, look, they took Designated Survivor off of CBS and then dumped it onto to Netflix. Netflix bought it. And I don't think it ever ended up getting any better. At least from what I understand, it got worse once it went to Netflix. A better example would have been Longmire, which was on A&E, and then it got bought by another network, and then canceled there, and then eventually went to Netflix, where it found a home and had a really good 6 seasons. But that's a rare example of a success in that regard.
And wasn't that during like the transitional period?
2012.
Anyway?
Yeah,
right.
like you were right in the middle of Netflix had built the capital to start buying stuff up before that they started making, and then their Netflix originals came a little bit after that, or more prominently featured after that. So, all right, let us move on then, shall we? Sad news for Brad Pitt.
Yeah, we were recently talking about how Brad Pitt's children seem to be disowning him one by one. And since his split from Angelina Jolie back in 2016, it looks like all 6 of his children have become estranged to him. And now, most recently, his daughter, Shiloh Jolie, is now just Shiloh Jolie. She has dropped last name Pitt officially. And it seems to be very much something she was planning on doing for a long time because she filed to drop that last name only 3 days after she turned 18.
I mean, even if she liked her dad, Shiloh Jolie sounds better than Shiloh Pitt.
Well, this is why people shouldn't hyphenate their last names in the first place, because it never sounds good, almost never. And it's just a stupid feminist power play, but that's another conversation. Yep. But now Shiloh has dropped the name Pitt, as well as his other daughter, Vivian, who is a bit older. I think she's maybe 20 years old. And I remember his son also put out an Instagram story post where he was ranting about what a terrible father he is.
They've been getting divorced, what you said, for 8 years?
Yeah, well,
years?
This is crazy. They initially split in 2016, but they have been dragging out their divorce in their court battle for nearly 8 years.
A decade.
And now it seems like most of their children, both biological and adopted, have ended up taking Angelina Jolie's side, if you want to put it like that.
Think she poisoned them against Brad?
Yeah, like we talked about that, but I can't imagine Brad Pitt is like that great of a dad. Especially just given that he's in Hollywood, he's probably a relatively narcissistic person.
I mean, that doesn't mean she's not.
No,
I mean,
that
they're
doesn't.
both in Hollywood.
That doesn't mean that she is a good parent either. I'm just saying they're probably both selfish people.
Yeah.
You know.
I don't know.
Pick your poison as far as which selfish parent you want to associate with. Still, I found it really weird that the majority of their children were adopted from like Africa.
Look, the way I see it is like, if I'm gonna judge based on which one's crazy, the one who didn't like have capsules of her partner's blood is the less crazy one.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Maybe she just never loved Brad Pitt as much as she loved what's his face?
Was that Billy Bob Thornton?
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe she just never had that same connection with Brad Pitt.
Look, I can 110% buy her poisoning, their kid's opinion of their dad. I'm not to say that he didn't act out or have poor behavior or something like that, but family tends to forgive if it's a strong family structure, right? People can make mistakes and find their way back to family. But when a divorce is that bitter, and when there's so much power in, coming out as the good parent, in the public eye, in a job that requires good public perception.
Yeah, so now he's in this new movie, Wolves.
Yeah, which
not
is...
Wolves, Wolves.
Wolves.
With an F. And it's not going to theaters.
Well, okay, so what happened
Isn't
was...
that bizarre?
Apparently, Apple TV had a movie that came out with Scarlett Johansson just recently, and nobody went to see it, which caused them to change their core strategy on wide releases.
Was it Fly Me to the Moon?
Might have been Fly Me to the Moon. Yeah, with Channing Tatum. Yeah.
I mean, no one went to see it?
No one went to see it.
I was planning to see it. I thought it was a really interesting premise to have like a rom-com about like faking the moon landing.
And it's like the most Apple TV sounding movie you've ever heard.
Yeah, it is.
Like whenever I talk to other people, it's like I'll never be snobby enough to have Apple TV. I won't. Sorry, I don't have a monocle, so I can't watch Apple TV.
I guess me being this close to having seen it in theaters and me not planning to see it at all are the same result for them.
Pretty much, yeah.
But I find it weird that they, with such big stars, Brad Pitt and George Clooney in a movie together, in like a buddy cop movie,
Yeah.
You would think that would get a real theater release. And it's not even showing in the theaters yet.
Hard to believe that they would need to go to Apple TV to get that made. That they couldn't go to another major studio and have that made.
Or even self-fund it.
But to be honest, the check was probably bigger for them. Remember when Glenn Powell and Sydney Sweeney were saying that they were actually going to get more money from doing a streaming release for a movie rather than a theater release?
But they decided they wanted the cultural impact.
Yeah, so I could 110% buy that Apple TV's like, look, we got a new iPhone coming out, and just dumped a money truck in the backyard of both of them.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. All right, guys, let's move on then, shall we? So we are going to be seeing the brand new reboot of The Crow on Thursday. Well, there was some articles coming out because with that release, there was discussion about firearm safety on set. Obviously, this is true because of Rust a couple years ago, but more importantly because of the tragic passing of Brandon Lee on the set of the original Crow in 1994, which sparked a lot of discussion about gun safety on the set of movies. And what they did for the reboot of The Crow is they took the Guy Ritchie approach, and there are just no guns on set at all. All airsoft and rubber.
Airsoft guns and rubber guns.
So let's go through this. So Rupert Sanders' Crow is the new take on the dark 1989 comic book. By the way, guys, I did rewatch it last night. It's fantastic. It holds up in every way. Atmospheric. As far as atmosphere and the ability to create pure grime on screen, there is exactly zero chance that the modern day remake gets anywhere close to what the 1994 film captured on screen. So it says, during the production of the 1994 film adaptation of The Crow, Brandon Lee was accidentally shot and killed. Yeah, what happened was a dummy round got trapped in the chamber of a revolver, and actor Michael Massey, in a scene that wasn't even supposed to happen. It was actually rewritten and done this way by director Alex Proyas. He tragically shot and killed him on set. And what happened is actor Michael Massey, he didn't act for a year after that, and up until at least 2012 said that he still had nightmares around what happened.
Haven't heard anything similar like that from Alec Baldwin, weirdly enough.
No, not at all. And the other thing was, this film was shot in 2022, so like right after Rust happened. And right around that time, what was going on was Guy Ritchie made the point that, like, look, when we made The Covenant, all airsoft guns on set, and The Rock made the claim that his production company would no longer be using anything but rubber guns and such replicas in their movies from then going forward.
Does it really matter? Can you make the case to me why they should have real firearms?
It's the same thing.
Or why it's important?
Yes. So a lot of people will make the argument that, much like practical effects versus CGI, when you get a weapon that actually cycles and has primer fire, and you get the gas blowback, it feels more real to the actor, as opposed to an airsoft gun, which will cycle but doesn't have the same impact. You don't get the cartridge being released. You do not get any of the actual muzzle flash, right? So if you're acting in a scene, it's very, very difficult to recapture that. It puts more onus on them to be able to fake it till they make it, right?
Okay,
so
I guess.
Look, I watch old shows that I love, like Person of Interest, which would use, instead of using blood squibs, they use dust. Right, like when he would shoot somebody in the leg, dust would come out.
It's red dust?
No, it's not even red. It's just dust.
What?
Yeah, and so they would do that, and also the weapons wouldn't cycle. Like the slide wouldn't cycle on any of the shots. It's like they didn't put the money into the weapons there. In that, depending on how closely you pay attention to what you're watching, will take you out of it.
How does why would they choose to put dust on there?
I don't know.
That doesn't make any sense.
I don't know why. Would you say CGI? No, it was real dust. They were squibs with dust.
No, that's just so bizarre.
Yeah.
It's not even supposed to look like blood.
I think it might have been a network TV note to minimize blood, because it was a network show.
Yeah. Well, so they asked Rupert Sanders about the decision, and he said safety is a #1 priority. Film sets are very dangerous. There are fast-moving cars with cranes stuck on the top. There are stunt guys falling on high wires down steps. Even just walking around a set at night with rain machines and lights, you're working in an industrial environment. So it's dangerous. You have to be safe. The first day I met with the special effects department and the armorer, who was great in Prague. They were very safety conscious. They follow all the same guidelines as the military when dealing with weapons, but I didn't even want to risk that. So I said categorically we will have no firing weapons on set, which means we didn't have one gun that could have had a live round or a blank round anywhere near ever, so that no projectile could go in. They're all airsoft guns, and some of them are just rubber or metal decoys that are functional but have no firing mechanism.
Look, here's the thing. I 100% believe that in most cases, this is a cop-out, in that when done safely for the sake of realism, they've proven time and time again that there are infinitely more examples of Hollywood getting this right than getting it wrong, and that not hiring incompetent armorers like Hannah Gutierrez Reed
or malicious ones, I don't know,
would prove that they can do this without screwing it up. Certainly, like, I go back and I watch old seasons of NCIS Los Angeles. There's like firefights in every episode. And that show was on for like a gazillion seasons.
Did they use real?
They used guns? They were not shooting. They were shooting actual blanks, or or using non-guns for close-ups. But here's the thing: like, if there is a movie that I believe I'm probably okay with them choosing not to use them on, it's the movie that's the reboot of the one where Brandon Lee died on set.
So you're cool with this?
I'm okay with this
because it's too fresh.
Like, it's too fresh in their mind, right? Like
filming this in 2022, and then
30 years later, and it's still
the Rust shooting being in the news. I definitely sympathize with his decision here. He also said that he thinks the airsoft guns are more realistic
Well,
like
yeah,
if you're choosing not to use real guns, he said like airsoft is it has a slide on a Glock that will still move back, but then you have to add the shell casing. You have to add a muzzle, flash, and smoke, but that was a price worth paying. It took a fair bit of money, but I think it was worth it. The visual effects on this movie are very much in camera. We were mainly a location shoot with set extension, so you have to balance where you spend money and when you don't have a massive budget to do visual effects. But to me, it was very worthwhile to spend for everyone's safety and comfort going into this project. Do you think that it was actually demanded by certain members of the cast?
I don't know. I mean, the director seems to say that he met with armorers so that he went into it on the first day. He could just be covering in saying that. But this is a really funny comment. Robert Barbell says, actors trying to fake gun recoil is always funny. Yes. Yes. I mean, sometimes they don't even fake it.
Something you really can't
Sometimes
fake.
they don't even fake it. Their arm is just stock still and there's no recoil at all. And you're like, yes, that's not at all what that's like. But I want you to point out that somebody else said that, like, look, a lot of people believe that first Crow movie was cursed. Certainly, if you look back at on the very first day of shooting in Wilmington, North Carolina, a carpenter suffered severe burns after his crane hit live power lines. On subsequent days, a grip truck caught fire. A disgruntled sculptor crashed his car through the studio's plaster shop, and then a crew member accidentally drove a screwdriver through their hand. So it's like bad things were happening. A lot of it is also, like I mentioned before, from what people have said, there was rampant cocaine use on the set of the movie. And when I look at the scenes of like Top Dollar snorting cocaine in his giant room, there was just something to me when I'm watching it. I'm like, it just feels real.
But was it real?
I don't know if that. I'm guessing that it wasn't actual cocaine on the table, but do I buy that most of the actors on set were probably gacked out of their mind on cocaine? Yeah, I buy that was happening.
But Leonardo DiCaprio has to snort flour.
Yeah, or Jonah Hill snorting. What was it, like
Whoever
vitamin
it was.
C?
Yeah.
And said that he had to go to the hospital from snorting so much vitamin C on the set of Wolf of Wall Street, right? But you go back and you watch that original Crow movie, and it's unbelievable. Just the amount of grime, dirt, and atmosphere that this movie captures. This movie was filmed at a time where they had like North Carolina was like a right to work state, so they had all sorts of ability to use non-union workers. And so they were working at hours you wouldn't normally work, time, for a length of time that you wouldn't normally work. There was all sorts of chaos on set, which probably in a lot of ways contributed, however small, to the fact that combined with its visual style, it just feels dark and grimy. And the modern version in the trailer, all I could say was like, it looks polished. It looks like a Hollywood polished turd that I have no real interest in. The moment I heard Post Malone, I'm like, I love Post Malone. He doesn't belong in a Crow trailer.
No, I honestly think that if they were going for the modern version of it, they should have put a Lil Peep song in there. I mean, seriously, if you're abandoning the extremely 90s nu metal vibe, which, you would say they shouldn't do. But if you're going to do that, go with like just go with a Lil Peep soundtrack, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Commit to the bit.
I just, I don't think that you can recapture that magic of that original film. There's just something there, and you can't put it into words that captures, because I was thinking about the music and listening to the music in the soundtrack. It's not like they were using older music at the time. It was the sound of that time period. But the sound of that time period is iconic for that visual style. Nothing about Post Malone feels like what The Crow is. Nothing about Post Malone and Ozzy Osbourne feels like what this movie is supposed to be.
It's like putting rap music in the freaking Gladiator 2 trailer. Doesn't really fit.
I'm okay with this movie being made and trying. I don't think it's going to capture anywhere near the magic of the original one, which, just like The Dark Knight, unfortunately benefited from the tragic passing of a cast member, right? Like, there is an aura around The Dark Knight that is directly linked to the passing of Heath Ledger's, in his performance as the Joker, much as there is Brandon Lee in The Crow.
Are you excited to see it tomorrow?
Look, I'm excited to... I'm excited to. So, guys, we're going to be having Craig from Side Scrollers on, and we're going to force
Spoiler
him.
alert.
We're going to force him to watch this movie.
Yeah, we're going together.
We're making him watch this movie.
So I guess we're gonna review that on the show on Friday.
Yeah, it's
We'll
going to be a
let you
lot
know
of fun.
how it goes.
So we'll wait and see. We'll take a look at how what the guns look like on here. Just get the revolvers offset. That's the number one connecting factor between Rust and the Crow.
They seem to be a problem.
Revolvers seem to be a problem for them. So all right, let's move on then, shall we? What do we want to do? We want to cringe or cute of the day?
Let's go with cringe first.
All right, cringe first then.
I'm excited for this one just because you haven't seen it.
I haven't seen it yet. Here we go. It says, such a classic, never forget this work of art.
I apologize.
No, it's perfect.
I'm breaking all the rules. I'm breaking all the rules.
Well, I guess we might make some mistakes. Who knows?
I think one of the biggest problems we have in DC is that everyone's egos are too big.
I actually just prefer to have no titles at all.
You're opening yourself up.
I'm just being me. Let's go.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
This is old. I have seen this.
You did?
I have seen this. Yeah.
I had never seen it before today.
I thought you were saying there was a new this. Yes, I'd seen this before.
I want to see the AI generated AOC and Elon Musk rom-com.
Oh.
Give it to me now.
What is their ship name then? Do they have a ship name?
That would be difficult. Are we gonna use AOC as her name, or or
do we,
Alexandria?
Yeah.
Elon.
Muskxandria?
I don't know.
Elandria?
Guys, workshop that for us. Oh, Muscazio?
Elandria.
Muscazio.
All right.
Elandria Muscazio. I don't like that ship name. But I guess we'll go with it.
Tesla AOC.
AOC you next Tuesday.
All right, guys.
Tasteful.
Very, very, very tasteful. All right, let's check out some cute of the day as well. I mean, that was cute.
It was demure and mindful.
That was very demure and mindful. Come on, that was adorable. Let's go ahead and check out some cute of the day then from you guys. Remember, you can always submit them. Hashtag PCC Pets. Hashtag cute of the day. Tag me in the show in there on X. But here we go. This one is from Alberta Britt. Our sweet girl Ava turned 3 yesterday. Finally got to have the new tennis balls and rubber rings she could smell hidden in the closet.
Happy birthday.
She looks very happy.
I think. Is it?
It was from August 14th.
Okay. Well, happy belated birthday then.
She's very happy though.
That's my birthday.
Yes.
We're birthday twins.
Birthday twins.
Cute.
Very cute. Very happy too. Very demure.
Very demure, very mindful, very cutesy.
This one is from Sabine. It says, for another PCC cute of the day, we have the newest character from Jujutsu Kaisen. Oh.
Wait.
Wolfie, it's a doggy.
I want to snatch the weave.
All right, guys. Yes, go ahead and submit your pets for cute of the day. Time to get started then. Time to talk about the very sad divorce of Ben and Jen.
To the surprise of absolutely no one, Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck are calling it quits for real this time. We kind of reported some fake news when there were rumors circulating about a divorce imminent, but now it's official. Yesterday, TMZ reported that Jennifer Lopez filed for divorce from Ben Affleck officially. And what's shocking about this is that she waited to do so on the 2nd anniversary of their wedding ceremony. Very calculated on her part.
She's like, look, I made a documentary about a movie about us falling in love with all sorts of symbolism that nobody cared about. I'm going to get some type of symbolism that people are going to care about, even if it's in divorce.
She has to make her dramatic exit. And on the filing, she listed their date of separation as April 26th, meaning they were split up officially by about 2 months after she released her multimedia project surrounding their love affair.
Imagine spending all that money.
$20 million, I believe, out of her own pocket.
$20 million for, to be fair, again, Ben's going to have to file for spousal support and say, I need to be taken care of in a manner in which I'm accustomed, because she's worth like $400 million and he's worth a measly $100-something million.
Okay, round it down, because, you know, I'm sure that putting out this Amazon project has her net worth at about $300 million now. So she made the album, This Is Me Now, and then the movie, This Is Me Now, and then the documentary about the making of the movie and the album together. All that was both released on Amazon in February.
How is he supposed to survive on a $100 million net worth when he's used to living with someone worth $300 million?
Yeah, people were immediately asking who is going to be paying who, because they didn't have a prenup. Award-winning blank said, cringe of the day, thanks, I hate it. You're welcome. Yeah. I didn't think it was that bad. But J-Lo's estimated net worth is about $400 million. Ben Affleck's is around $150 million. And that is because J-Lo has monetized absolutely everything. She does music, and she does acting, and she gets royalties from both. And she has the lifestyle brand and the alcohol brand and the skincare and the fragrances and the production company and the charity foundation. So it made sense to me that she's the richer one.
Ben just wants to make movies, okay? Ben just wants to make movies. He's an actual artist.
Okay.
She's a fake artist. He's a real artist.
But, you know, one person pointed out it's so crazy because there is a scene in her documentary film where you can tell it clicked for Ben Affleck that this was going to be a problem. And I think what they're referring to there, the moment they're referring to, is when Jennifer Lopez photocopies and bounds into a book all of the private love letters that Ben Affleck wrote to her under the title The Greatest Love Story Never Told, and then started passing them around to the entire production team of her movie.
You know what that is? That's a problem between personalities of somebody, an outgoing extrovert who has no problem. It also might be one of those things like women don't mind sharing humiliating and personal details. In fact, they thrive on that on like TikTok. It's a bonding thing. Men are not like that, and her inability to understand that men don't see the world that way and to just do that without his permission is insane.
Yeah.
And is when he's like, oh, this is done.
Yeah, so in that scene, he walks into the room where everyone is looking through these private love letters, or love letters he thought were private, and he comes in and he's like, well, this kind of defeats the purpose of it being the greatest love story never told, because you're telling it and spending $20 million on a multimedia project to tell everyone all of the details. And it wasn't just about their love story, it was about her entire history of dating and many marriages and many engagements. And it must not be a great feeling for a husband to have to be in that position where his wife is publicizing her entire sexual history to the world.
Ben could be doing so much better things with his time.
The rumor is that he was actually guilty of cheating on Jennifer Lopez with Jennifer Garner, the mother of his children.
Does anybody actually believe that?
They do seem to have fun together when he's around her. He's finally smiling. He doesn't look like he wants to die as much as he usually does. So there's some plausibility to that.
I think about it and I'm like, think about what Ben could be doing with his time. What he needs to do, he needs to call up Josh Brolin, Benicio del Toro, Jeremy Renner, and start making great movies, a la him making The Town or Argo, or movies like Sicario with Benicio del Toro. Just start making awesome movies that people want to see to cope with your loss.
So is he going to get a second wind from this post-divorce glow up?
Well, he already is. He's got his haircut. He's got his high fade and his
going through a very late midlife crisis. Jennifer Lopez, according to an inside source, decided it's time to move on. She is very disappointed and sad, but Ben hasn't given her any signs that he wants to continue their marriage.
It's all his fault, right? Women are fantastic at framing it as his fault. You know what it probably is? He probably didn't want to go to therapy.
The source shared, he hasn't shown any commitment and interest in making their marriage work. It's gotten to the point that she just needs to look out for herself. She tried really hard to make things work and is heartbroken. The kids are the top priority, and they always have been. Press X to doubt, because they, you allowed all of your kids to become this blended family and, be close with each other, and now you're tearing them apart. That was never putting the kids first.
She can make Made in Manhattan 2.
The only thing that can fix this is Geely 2.
Yep.
That's the truth that people don't want to hear. But yeah, very sad, but very predictable.
It's unbelievably predictable, and as far as I'm concerned, both of them, like, what he needs to do right now is he needs to go and find Ana de Armas and re-court her.
No, go back to your baby mama. That is what he needs to do. Go back to Jennifer Garner. I know she wasn't as crazy and exciting, but she's a very good-looking woman, and she always seemed like a relatively decent person.
She's, you know what it is? He can't stand someone he can't stand being married to someone who won't look sour and angry all the time.
Right. He's addicted to the drama. Like, that's what people don't want to admit. But I can't, I know that people see paparazzi photos and they see the TMZ videos, and it's just one snapshot in someone's life. Mm-hmm. And it can be interpreted all sorts of ways and get totally distorted and twisted. But the amount of photos and videos of Ben Affleck and J-Lo in public,
preponderance of evidence,
looking like they are fighting and yelling at each other, or at least they're trying to not show how angry they are. It's too many to count.
He has to like it, right?
He likes it,
and that's a problem. Men who like that stuff, sure, it's exciting in the moment.
Johnny Depp,
but it will make you miserable long term. The best thing you can do is try to retrain your brain to like somebody that brings about peace and calm in your life, and not somebody where you have to worry about where you put the Dunkin' Donuts cup whether it makes her angry or not.
Were you flirting with the Dunkin' Donuts cashier?
Alex Rodriguez doesn't put his Dunkin' Donuts cup down without a coaster. Right?
Yeah.
You know what? He needs to do? He needs to go back and do, he needs to get to be Daredevil again, and then Batman again, and rediscover his mojo.
The drama is the only drug he has left as a sober man.
It must be, right? Like, and she's bitter because she can't have a glass of wine at dinner anymore. It was doomed to fail.
From the start. Well, it's mostly because Jennifer Lopez especially acts like an overgrown teenage girl.
Yes.
In her 50s, mind you.
I'm telling you right now.
This woman is 54 years old.
I'm telling you right now, the fact that she was willing to publish those, like, those
55.
letters. She was willing to show those letters to just random people it's such a disregard for the sanctity of the relationship.
Do they mean anything to you at that point?
Private is private for a reason, right? Like, you have the right to show it if you get permission, I guess. But when something is written that actually, takes a piece of someone, takes a piece out of someone, and it's something that they're kind of bearing their soul to you, you owe them the kindness of not sharing it without permission. And her disregard for that makes it hard for me to believe that he's the one who doesn't want to work on things or doesn't want to fix things.
Well, plenty of people are like extroverted or free-spirited or whatever you want to call it. I think most extroverts would understand the basic premise that you shouldn't share someone's private love letters to you.
Yep.
And to a group full of strangers of like colleagues.
There's a 20 there.
Wyatt Kaldenberg said Frank Zappa's daughter, Moon Unit, wrote a book about growing up in the creepy Zappa cult. Could you two read her book and give your thoughts? I was a Zappa fan since '66. After this book, my Zappa records are going in the trash.
I mean, I don't know what was said in the book, but I would argue that trashing art you love because they are a bad person is a fool's errand, because you can't truly know a person. And at any given time, any artist you love could be a horrible person. You kind of just have to take them for you have to take the art for what it is.
I'm looking for it, but I don't see it.
Separating the art from the artist is the best thing to do.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, I think it's the memoir titled Earth to Moon that came out this year, I assume recently. talks about her childhood, her father's absence and neglect. She felt like an outsider. He was involved in several cults that had charismatic leaders, including an acting teacher.
Look, I like Alec Baldwin as an actor. I think 30 Rock is a fantastic show. I don't like Alec Baldwin as a person.
Yeah, but
right?
if you don't want to listen to his records anymore, that's up to you.
I think I think you'll be better off for learning to separate the art from the artist and appreciate the music.
They don't earn any money from you listening to records.
Correct.
If you meant literal records. So, there's no skin off your nose.
Well, all right, I got to just say, Ben, get to your lawyer and get that bag. King. Take her to the cleaners. Time to be taken care of in the manner in which you are accustomed. Do it.
I'm pretty sure that the only thing they're splitting is the mansion that they bought together.
Well, that's a mistake. He needs to get that.
It's kind of just like,
think of all the movies you could fund.
It's that GIF.
Think of all the movies you could fund by taking half that income.
Ben Affleck just fading out of J-Lo's life.
It's like the scene from at the end of Infinity War where everybody evaporates. All right. Let us move on then, shall we? Let's do some super chats.
Shane H. Wilder said, "Happy woman because there is only one today, Wednesday." Brett and Mary. Mary, watch the original Crow before seeing the reboot tomorrow. It's on Prime. I actually don't have Amazon Prime.
It's worth watching. It really is. It's fantastic.
Well, I don't know if I'll have time to do it before the movie tomorrow, but I'm sure I will watch it at some point.
It's a fever dream of just like darkness and bad behavior and awesomeness and great. Like, it's one of the most quotable movies. You'll once you watch it, you'll just hear it's just go.
I could either love it or hate it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And it's only an hour. It's only an hour and 45 minutes, which is another big up to it. Also, really funny. Ernie Hudson is in it as Officer Albrecht, and he still looks young today. Ernie Hudson from Ghostbusters.
Oh, right.
His, still looks fantastic. And this was back in '94, and today he still looks half his age.
Well, black don't crack.
Yep.
Andrew Jacobs said, "Hi, Mary. I'm pro-choice, but that roach coach doing free abortions and vasectomies at the DNC is absolutely tacky and gross. Respect to you for being pro-life." What is this?
So at the DNC convention, they've got an abortion car set, like an abortion van.
They're calling it the vasectomy mobile or whatever.
I don't know what that's what they're actually calling, but yeah, it's like set up so that you can get free vasectomies and abortions at the DNC.
They're calling it the roach coach.
I mean, I don't know if that's what they're actually calling it.
All
I know is that, look, you guys know that I am I'm a fairly liberal person. I'm a fairly reasonable person. I see something like that, and I'm like, remember safe, legal, and rare? When did safe, legal, and rare become get an abortion at a political convention? If that's not a death cult, I don't know what is.
I think safe, legal, and rare might have been discarded around the same time as in the privacy of your own bedroom. I think those things.
Look, what
might have been discarded around the same time.
What a person does with a coat hanger in the privacy of their own home is their own business.
Look, if you're pro-choice, I encourage you to investigate that feeling within you that finds that gross and come to your own conclusion from there. Shane H. Wilder said, "I was about 10. It was funny when I helped give out candy as a tween/young teen and 17-year-olds would ask for candy." That is so embarrassing.
Bro, get a job.
Like, by the time you're old enough to have a job, you definitely shouldn't be asking for free candy at strangers' doors.
Correct.
But also before that, I just think a 12-year-old doesn't need to be trick-or-treating. Am I wrong? Is that mean?
No,
I don't know.
You're not wrong.
Shane H.
12.
Wilder,
12. Yeah. You're getting too old.
12 is, I feel that's too old. Even though you can't get a job, you also can't have free candy.
Let's do one more.
Shane H. Wilder, Brett couldn't even order the chicken fried steak.
Maybe we'll do that next time.
Yeah?
Judgy.
Instead
Judgy
of
McJudgerson.
disgusting meatloaf.
All right, let's hold off on the rest and let's come back after the fact. Time to talk about what is a Chapel Roan again.
Yeah, so we recently introduced all of you to Chapel Roan. She is a rising star in the music industry, and we're trying to get comfortable and familiar with her. She is very uncomfortable with her fame. And she recently talked about that in a TikTok, calling out some of her fans for being creepy, asking for photos and hugs when she's out in public, screaming out her name from car windows, etc. And she's basically saying, this isn't okay, and I want to be left alone, even though I want your money. So let's take a listen to her.
To the first video here, this one?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I need you to answer questions. Just answer my questions for a second. If you saw a random woman on the street, would you yell at her from the car window?
You're not a random woman.
Would you harass her in public? Would you go up to a random lady and say, can I get a photo with you? And she's like, no, what the fuck? And then you get mad at this random lady?
That might be the most like intellectually dishonest comparison I've ever heard.
Yeah, well, she continues making it.
Answer in public. Would you go up to a random lady and say, can I get a photo with you? And she's like, no, what the fuck? And then you get mad at this random lady? Would you be offended if she says no to your time because she has her own time? Would you stalk her family? Would you follow her around? Would you try to dissect her life and bully her online? This is a lady you don't know. And she doesn't know you at all. Would you assume that she's a good person? Assume she's a bad person? Would you assume everything you read about her online is true? I'm a random bitch. You're a random bitch. Just think about that for a second.
That's
okay?
First of all, that's like weird. That's humble bragging at the end, like the worst type of humble bragging.
I'm just a
bitch,
girl, but I happen to have the biggest set at Lollapalooza in all of Lollapalooza history. But I'm just a random bitch.
For the people who don't know, she's a singer and she's fast on the rise right now. She's doing very, very big numbers, and the problem here is that she's comparing her, someone who sought out fame and celebrity, someone who chooses a profession that puts them in the public eye, with rando number 2 walking down the street, which, like I said, is so unbelievably intellectually dishonest, it's not even funny.
So she followed it up.
And also she makes a bunch of comparisons. Yes,
here.
okay, let's watch the second one here.
I don't care that abuse and harassment, stalking, whatever, is a normal thing to do to people who are famous or a little famous, whatever. I don't care that it's normal. I don't care that this crazy type of behavior comes along with the job, the career field I've chosen. That does not make it okay. That doesn't make it normal. It doesn't mean I want it. It doesn't mean that I like it. I don't want whatever the fuck you think you're supposed to be entitled to whenever you see a celebrity. I don't give a fuck if you think it's selfish of me to say no for a photo or for your time or for a hug. That's not normal. That's weird. It's weird how people think that you know a person just because you see them online or you listen to the art they make. That's fucking weird. I'm allowed to say no to creepy behavior.
Okay, let's break down the different behaviors she's talking about here. So on one hand, we have ask for a photo. On one hand, we have ask for a photo or an autograph. Then we have hug. Then we have stalking.
Yes.
And she is saying that all of these fall into the same category.
Right.
That's insane.
There are degrees to it, and there are degrees of like parasocial relationships. Obviously, no one is condoning stalking people or harassing people's family members. That's obviously very weird. And then somewhere in the middle there is asking someone for a hug. Now, I thought about this because I have had people like come up to me and say that they watch the show and make conversation, whatever. That's totally fine.
Mm-hmm.
But I've never had someone ask me for a hug. And frankly, if they did, I would probably say no, because I would find that weird. But in her situation, because she is a musician, makes art that emotionally resonates with people. So they might feel that they are emotionally bonded to her in some way. whether or not that's true.
She still has a right to say
no. It would be more
no.
common for people to ask for a hug from her.
And she still has a right to say no. She has a right to say no in all of these respects. What people are going to have a hard time accepting is that you chose a career that makes this a consequence and then say all of it is the same. To say that someone coming up to you and asking for an autograph is creepy is unbelievably awful.
Yeah, so here were some of the responses. Thank you. Because the resounding response from a lot of people was like, this is entitled and you're actually being weird. This person said, I like her music a lot, but I fear she's chosen the wrong career. I'm not blaming her at all, and the way people stalk celebrities is insane and shouldn't be tolerated. But hating on regular fans who happen to run into you and simply ask for a picture or just to say hi. And then they said, I feel for her because she got so famous overnight, and that must be overwhelming. But if you never want to be approached in public, then you can't be a public figure. You are no longer a random bitch, and you can't get the perks of fame and money without people asking for photos. When you have more money than 99% of people will ever see in their lifetime, never have to work a, quote, real job in your life, and get to do what you love, have access to all the resources in the world, and then have an I hate my fans attitude, it's obviously going to turn people off.
Okay, there was some poor points to that whole thing as well. Not calling it not a real job is not fair either.
Well, I guess what they mean by that is you get to have a job where you do what you're the most passionate about and the most talented at, so, which is a privilege.
Yes. Correct. I mean, like, this is the type of thing, like, we get to do a job that we love to do, right? We're very, very privileged and lucky to be able to do this show for work in a lot of ways. I believe that that's true. But her comparison and calling herself just a regular person, just a random bitch, is just unfair. And it's dishonest.
It's dishonest, but I think she doesn't realize she's not a random bitch anymore, which is why she's confused. Because it happened so fast, right? She's been chasing after this for a decade at this point. And then overnight, everyone's talking about her, and she's suddenly being propped up and almost seems like an industry plant overnight. So she's probably still getting used to it while people are still watching and doesn't know what to make of the whole thing. But
this is very Gen Z with the discussion of boundaries.
Yeah, this at least what therapists say boundaries are is, if you do this, I will respond this way.
Yes.
Not telling people, never ask me for a picture, never ask me for a hug, never say hi to me. But you will say, if you ask me for a picture, I will either say yes or no. And the way you react is totally irrelevant to me. I'm going to draw my boundary.
To be in the chat, Hunter Lacey says, Brett and Mary, you don't have a real job. Well, I'd say that it's real. It's a job, but it's, you know, it's just not a normal job.
It just depends on what you'd consider a real job.
But to your point, there's a celebrity who can make this work, right? But it has to become part of their character, right? Where they're inaccessible, much like Gwyneth Paltrow comes off as inaccessible and haughty. Like, you have to then embrace a character that comes off that way. You can't go on stage and say thank you to all my fans and then say, but if you come up to me and ask for an autograph, I'm going to tell you to piss off and call you weird.
So people were reposting this video of Halsey from a few years back where she was actually upset that her fans were mad at her for the same reason. Let's play that clip.
So I remember, and then they were mentioning like Lorde as another example of somebody who seemed to just somebody who didn't like the fame that came with getting a hit song.
She was also much younger than Chappell Roan. Chappell Roan, by the way,
is it this one?
Yes.
Okay.
Chappell Roan is 26 at the time. Like, Lorde was 17 when she got famous.
Okay,
so big difference.
I'm so sorry. Not for nothing, but I'm getting a lot of really rude messages right now from people saying that I'm fucked up and I swerved you and I'm being rude and I'm being mean. Like, not for nothing, but I've been impressed since 8 o'clock in the morning. I have a whole day of interviews to do. I'm still doing them. I would never just walk by you and not meet you. So to abuse me like that online is kind of fucked up. I have a lot more interviews to do, and I promise I'm going to meet people. But please don't be mean to me. I have a very busy day too, okay? So it really makes me upset. Please don't be mean to me.
That was infinitely better than whatever Chappell Roan did.
Was it endearing?
Yes, it was infinitely better.
I don't like it because she was doing that weird baby voice.
If the voice is fake, sure, but it comes off as where she at least understands where you're coming from, but please understand where I'm coming from. Whereas what Chappell Roan is saying is that you're just weird, fuck off. Right?
I mean,
is that supposed to be bravado?
Without saying it, yeah.
Is that supposed to be some type of bravado?
She wanted her cake and she wanted to eat it too because, as many people have said, she never thought she would be as famous as she is now. She wanted to stay gay famous. She wanted to be gay club famous, not mainstream famous.
She can do that. Quit your label. Don't go to Lollapalooza. Only perform at gay nightclubs. You can do that. But the problem is they don't want to do that. They don't actually want that. They want all the benefits, the money, and the exposure that comes at their expense for them when they can control it. But they don't want the downsides that come with that.
Yeah, she also recently made a comment about how she doesn't care about charts. She doesn't care about her songs going on the charts. I've never given an F about the charts or being on the radio, but it's so crazy how industry people are taking me more seriously than before. I've been doing this the whole time, bitch. Like, my career doesn't mean anything more now that I have a charting album and a song. If anything, I'm just like, F you guys for not seeing what actually matters. A chart is so fleeting. Everyone leaves the charts. I'm just like, this is giving valedictorian.
No.
She's not very likable.
No. I mean, but the thing, we live in a generation now where maybe that's like, there's a whole snarky side of the internet that loves that.
What actually matters?
Yeah.
I mean, ask your record label what actually matters. And if you have a different answer to that question than they do, leave.
Yep.
Do it independently, but they won't do that. It's not going to happen. People are also comparing Chappell Roan's approach to fan interaction to Madison Beer, weirdly enough, who is notoriously inaccessible and, as you said, haughty.
Yeah, haughty.
But there was this video where she was just like being best friends with all of her fans.
Did you guys really fly all the way here?
Yeah, we did.
Oh, to see me?
To see little old me.
Oh my God.
Are you coming back tomorrow?
No, we're not coming.
Just to see me right now?
Yeah.
Oh my
We really
gosh.
love you.
I love you so much. Okay, well, I'll be in Belgium on tour, so you have
Really?
Yes, I will.
Oh,
I think. I hope so now that I said that too. I think so.
I hope so.
Brussels,
Oh,
right?
yes.
I think so. I hope so.
Yeah, we saw you
I
on
will.
live.
Hold on. Oh, sorry. Hold on.
I hope so.
Yeah, we saw you
I
on
will.
live.
I know for a fact I'm doing Amsterdam. I think I'm doing Brussels. I don't know though. I'm sorry. Hi. Sorry.
So this is in their mind what Chappell Roan is supposed to do outside of her hotel.
It's I could make the comment that at least what Chappell Roan is doing is more honest to her personality, is more real.
It's authentic.
It's more authentic, perhaps.
Yeah. Yeah, but maybe both are authentic.
But maybe in this situation, both groups just really want to be lied to. Like,
yeah,
the fan is okay with her giving them this, very, very surface level attention, and that's fine, I guess. If that's what they want out of the interaction, that's their business.
Now, if Chappell Roan is ever nice to her fans, they're going to know for a fact that she's faking it so that they don't talk shit about her on Twitter.
Yeah.
So you kind of just, spoiled the whole thing.
Yeah. Look, it's a tough. I am sure that to be famous at that level, it's a very, very tough thing to do, and I don't envy her. I would certainly never want anything like that. But I have to believe that first of all, that there's a better comparison to be made, because I found the comparison to be just so manipulative and lacking.
Wait. Okay. Speaking of comparison, I just sent you a link to an image of Chappell Roan from before she blew up, and then an image of her after fame, and it tells you everything you need to know about this person and what this industry is like doing to her brain. But this is the before picture. This is from like 2017, I think. And present day. Do we even need to say any more?
I mean, it just all that says to me is somebody that's been turned into a stage character, right? It doesn't look like she looks like this off stage.
It's very unoriginal.
Yeah, it is.
Right?
It is.
It's like, I'm so original. I'm not like other pop stars. I do drag makeup.
Well, I mean, it's like when like Halsey is supposed to be like what? Some like supposed indie darling yet mainstream. Like that was what it was supposed to be.
Like I always thought the coolest thing someone could do performing at the Super Bowl is just get on a stage and just sing a song and then leave.
Only Adele can do that now. Pretty much nobody else can do that now.
Right, because nobody else rests on talent, I guess.
Well, also
it's all about the frills.
To be fair, the Super Bowl that's not supposed to be the purpose of a Super Bowl show. It's supposed to be.
I know it's a production.
It's a production.
And everything.
But like
it would still be interesting though.
Even at the concert level. Like it's better for you say it's more impressive if somebody's just there to sing rather than
make TikTok dances.
Yeah. Look, again, I don't envy the road she's chosen, but she did choose it, and she's free to leave it at any time and go back to a more solitary life. But you know, she can make this choice. But she then can't be upset when the fans react negatively to it. Though I think she's reached a critical mass where it won't matter.
Yeah.
Like there's going to be more than enough people to sustain her career that are going to be completely okay with this behavior. So if that's her success story, then I guess she wins.
She's
Good for her.
Future Lady Gaga, though.
No.
Like she's not all that, in my opinion.
You have to want that. Right?
And Lady Gaga did. Okay, let's look at Super Chats. The last of my kind. What's the over-under on J-Lo and Ben dating again? High school is supposed to end earlier so the older kids could be home when the young ones get home. Okay, so that's why they separate the junior high?
I did get out of school a little bit earlier in high school, but you started earlier.
Wait, when did you get out?
I think we got out at 2 or 2:30.
That's nice. Do you think J-Lo and Ben are going to get back together at some point?
No.
It's not out of the question. I mean, she's crazy. He's crazy. Put those things together. I don't know. Anakin's burnt wiener said, I like meatloaf. I will gladly pay for it.
Well, thank you, Anakin.
Thank you, Anakin's burnt wiener. Shane H. Wilder said, meatloaf is mid. Lasagna is just Italian meatloaf.
That's still a bigger compliment than what you were saying. Calling it mid is nice. You were like, it's awful. It's disgusting.
Okay, fine. It's not disgusting. I think it's just disgusting to look at, and it's not a good consistency.
I want some right now. Literally want some.
And the fact that people dip it in ketchup is disgusting.
I don't do that. I have it with mashed potatoes.
But at that point, like, why don't you just, have a steak?
They had apparently just gotten steak at Cracker Barrel, and I didn't want to be a guinea pig for like their brand new steak.
Okay. You're just trying to be careful.
Yep.
The Manic Mustache said, you keep using that word, but I don't think it means what you think it means. Stay toxic, my friends.
I don't know if that's in relation to what word.
What word? I don't know.
Let's do 2 more.
Big Dave sent us $1 without a message. Thank you. Bombchus said, Y2K looks so bad that I paid to tell you it's bad.
I thought it looked fun.
Really? Why? How does it look bad? Explain yourself.
You'll have to let us know why that is.
I thought that looked good. Maybe you're just hating because Rachel Zegler is in it.
There was definitely some people. I saw somebody in the chat.
On?
I saw somebody in the chat say they're really trying to push Rachel Zegler as like a sex symbol, and I don't know if that's what they were going for there. I guess that she's like the hot girl that the kids really interested in. She's the unattainable girl, and she's definitely no Mean Girls level actress from the 2000s. I don't know.
I guess, yeah.
Sorry, they can't cast Gal Gadot as a high schooler anymore. Let's do one more.
Oh my goodness said, am I the only straight white conservative male who enjoys the Brat album, or are we not supposed to do that? It's got so many bangers on it, LOL.
You'd have to talk to Xavier DeRusso. Maybe he likes it. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's allowed. Just don't talk about it.
Oh, you said white. Never mind. There's got to be somebody who likes it, right?
I mean,
Charlie Kirk listens to it privately.
I don't know. Would he?
Charlie Kirk listens to it privately.
You think he's on the PJ?
Somebody's got to do
He's on the PJ on the way to the RNC listening to Brad.
Does white have anything to do with it? Like, does Charlie XCX have like a racialized audience?
No. I mean,
Okay.
it's basically just white hipsters.
Okay, so, if you're a straight conservative, you can listen to it in private. Charlie Kirk gives you permission. I'm just kidding.
The official stamp of approval from Turning Point
From Turning
USA.
Point USA, yeah. It's what Dennis Prager listens to in his free time.
For sure.
For sure.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on. It's time for you to explain to everyone what the hell is going on with Demure.
Yeah, well, speaking of Brat Summer is getting a run for its money with this new TikTok trend started by a content creator who goes by the name Jules LeBron. Essentially, it's demure, it's mindful, it's cutesy. These are all of the new buzzwords that are being circulated on TikTok For You pages everywhere.
Before you do that, you should read to them the dictionary definition of
Oh my,
demure.
I don't have it in front of me, but it
Okay.
basically means reserved, decorously, what was it? Decorously somber and very, what was it? It was, do you remember what it was?
Yeah,
I mean,
but-
you were the one who wanted the definition so badly.
I asked you for it earlier. I was
mean,
like,
in my mind, it was just reserved,
okay.
but it could be like something more than that.
Reserved, modest, and shy, typically used of a woman. A demure young lady.
Like, think Jane Austen, I guess. So this TikToker, Jules LeBron, is giving everybody etiquette lessons, how to behave demurely in the workplace, in the airport. Everywhere you go, you have to be demure and mindful and cutesy and not be like those other girls who are doing the most.
And you think that this is about societal expectations of women?
Well, that's what every journalist is saying, actually, not me.
Not you. Okay, that's their interpretation. The ones who are writing think pieces about this.
Well, here's the thing. I think Jules LeBron is being completely serious with all of these videos, even though they're tongue in cheek. I think that Jules LeBron is being serious. The journalists, however, think that this is satire meant to poke fun at the unrealistic expectations placed on women. According to a trans advocate and influencer, to be demure in 2024 is to be quietly elegant. It's a comedic commentary on how, according to long-standing patriarchal beliefs, femininity is only found attractive if it's agreeable and easy to look at. Women are often told to be a man's vapid accessory rather than his smart vocal peer. So when women perform as being demure, they're actually reclaiming the patriarchal expectations of society and using it to empower themselves.
So does that mean that Kamala Harris's husband is demure? He's the demure one?
She's Brat and
he's
Doug is demure.
Okay.
Okay, let's look at some examples though, because it all started with Jules' video about remaining demure and modest and respectful in the workplace. Yes, this is it.
Okay.
It got millions upon millions of views.
Okay, here we go.
My makeup for work, very demure, very mindful. I don't come to work with a green cut crease. I don't look like a clown when I go to work. I don't do too much. I'm very mindful while I'm at work. See how I look very presentable? The way I came to the interview is the way I go to the job. A lot of you girls go to the interview looking like Marge Simpson and go to the job looking like Patty and Selma. Not demure. I'm very modest. I'm very mindful. You see my shirt? Only a little chichi out, not my chocho. Be mindful of why they hired you. Here's your reality check, diva. What's the name you'd like me to make it out to?
I mean, in an age where people are bringing their parents to job interviews, I can't even argue.
So you think this is like valid?
I have no idea.
Like, do you agree
I don't
with
even
what
know
was
if
said
I
here?
don't even know if what they're doing is serious.
I think it is serious, but it's done in a tongue-in-cheek fashion.
Okay,
Needless to say,
my
y'all,
male brain can't comprehend this.
guys, needless to say, Jules LeBron is trans. This person is biologically male, okay? And I find it a little bit condescending, actually a bit condescending that a trans woman is telling women how to behave in public spaces and in order to give them lessons on femininity. I do find that very rich. But I am willing to, entertain it as a bit, right?
Okay.
As it's just a silly little TikTok trend and see how people respond to it. Because I think if a self-proclaimed trad wife who is actually female started a trend like this, she would be getting raked over the coals. She would be getting destroyed right now by the feminists. But because it's a trans woman's content creator of color that is saying this stuff, suddenly it's okay. So I do find that kind of ironic.
My favorite was one, because this trend has been picked up by everyone, was a lady in a wheelchair using it to get up a ramp and saying, see the way I get up the ramp?
It can be applied to any situation.
It can literally be applied to anything.
Okay, so there's another one, how I order my room service in a demure way.
I can't.
Let's learn. We're learning lessons.
See how I get room service? I don't do crazy like you girls. I do very simple. I get something very simple and very healthy. I'm not like you girls.
Yes,
I don't
very healthy.
Let's do a burger. Let's do wings. I'm not crazy like you girls. Ladies, let's be mindful. Let's have something very light and, cutesy. Let's not be crazy when we order room service.
I'm sorry. It feels like they're making fun of women.
It is.
It
does.
I can't help but think it is.
Yeah.
I mean, right?
That's what it feels like to me.
There was another one, how to have a nice demure drink at the airport.
See how I wait for my plane? I do a nice soda. I don't get drunk like these other girls. I don't do drinking and be a drinker like these other girls. I'm very demure. I'm very cutesy with it. I do a nice Sprite. I sit with my friend. I don't do a lot like you girls. Remember to be demure.
Baby, I'm brand.
Like, just tell me if an actual biological female were doing this trend,
before it became a trend.
If a biological female created this trend and popularized it, do you really think she would be getting late night appearances, brand deals, celebrities mimicking the trend?
It's like
it would not be like that, because she would be getting bullied by feminists.
Nala can't even make food without people trying
Nara.
I say Nala?
Just so you know, it's not the same chick with the OF. Yes.
No,
Nara.
Same thing. No.
Right. But it's perfect example.
Yes. If Nara was making food and making a video like this, there would be all sorts of think pieces about what it means for the feminine nature when a woman is, acquiescing to traditional gender roles.
Right.
Yeah.
When she does it, it's oppression.
Also, it's depressing because you said Nala, and I was thinking, when I realized it was wrong, I was thinking the Lion King, not the adult actress from whatever.
Wholesome.
Yeah, much more wholesome.
Yeah, no, if it's a real woman actually being demure, that's oppression. That is a cult. That is patriarchal, and it must be stopped. But if it is a biological male giving women etiquette lessons on how to be feminine, then it's okay. Then it becomes a meme. Then, everyone celebrates it and loves it. And now even Lindsay Lohan and Jamie Lee Curtis on the set of Freaky Friday 2 did their own demure TikTok.
Straight hair, very demure. Wearing a seatbelt, very mindful.
Like, all these celebrities are adding their 2 cents into the demure trend because it's hot right now. And I just don't think it would have gotten there if a woman started it. But
we need to ask what the lady from Ballerina Farm thinks of this.
Yeah, because she got the worst treatment for simply living her life. Now, most ironically, Jules LeBron is using the revenue from the demure trend to finance the rest of their transition.
Okay,
let's take a look at these.
What keeps asking me how I feel about what's going on. I feel so overwhelmed. I feel so grateful, don't get me wrong, but everything's happening so fast.
Is this demure? Is this mindful?
I'm so overwhelmed.
I don't think so.
I have so much to do as soon as I got here. Oh God, but I'm living my fucking dream, bitch.
Yelling like that?
Not demure?
Not demure. Not mindful. Not cutesy.
Might even kind of say that's very masculine to do it that way.
Very boisterous. Yeah. Yes, very irritating. There was another video about the demure TikToker financing her transition.
Bendeja, maybe you should make the videos. Maybe you should make the videos, because one day I was playing cashier and making videos on my break, and now I'm flying across country to host events, and I'm gonna be able to finance the rest of my transition. I finally said it without crying.
So tell me if a real biological woman would be getting flown across the country, going on late night shows, getting countless brand deals, getting celebrated in the media for the same thing. I don't think so.
In fact, I'll give you a better comparison. The only way to do this as a biological woman is to do the opposite of this, which is be Y2K girl, where you then get flown across the country for vulgarity.
That's so true.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about it like that.
Yeah.
I guess Y2K and Brat Girl Summer are, on the other end of the spectrum from the demure trend. It really would have been a nice trend, right? It was a nice idea.
And it maybe they're
from the wrong messenger.
There is a way of comparing these in a way that's like, look, the demure trend, as it's stacked up against the person who created it, which is not a biological woman, runs headlong against Y2K girl, who is, for the most part, looks like a pretty wholesome person with a viral clip that was not wholesome.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a subversion of expectations in both cases that seem to be exactly into the sweet spot of what virality on social media is looking for.
They say the demure trend specifically shows how trans women's experience with femininity is nuanced and multi-layered.
Because biological women are not allowed to have nuanced and layered definitions of femininity.
Certainly doesn't seem nuanced and multi-layered when your entire definition of femininity comes from freaking Jane Austen novels.
Yeah.
It's not a bad place to start, but it's not, you can be loud, boisterous, and annoying as F and still be a woman, and still, be feminine because you're a woman. And that's something that you cannot earn. You're born with it.
Well, see, like the beauty of for someone who's an actual biological woman is that you get to act outside the traditional roles of what it is to be a woman and not have to worry, if you're self-assured, that it somehow makes you less of who you are.
Right.
Everybody else, if someone is trans, they have to worry consistently if how they're being perceived.
Am I fitting into this mold?
Yes.
Am I passing?
Yeah.
That's the big thing for them. So I do find this very condescending and belittling to women.
I said, before we were live, I said, I feel bad for women because for the most part, every aspect of your existence now is boiled down to TikTok trends.
Clean girl aesthetic, brat girl summer.
To be fair, they do this to themselves. Women perpetuate this onto themselves. It's kind of like that thread that was going viral the other day about it says like male privilege is being able to wear the same thing all the time. And guys are like, there isn't a guy on earth who gives a crap if you wear the same dress twice.
It's like, who says you're not allowed to wear the same thing twice?
Like that is the height of insanity to say that that's men's fault. That's a restriction that's put on you by your own fear of the perceptions of other women, not men. Right?
Yeah. Which is just as valid. But they shouldn't blame men and the patriarchy for something that's self-enforced intra-sexually.
So everything for women has to be boiled down to maybe it is women's desire to categorize and collate and then put everybody into this box somehow.
It's weird because I thought that categorizing things was a male thing. I can't keep track of any of it anymore. But it makes sense that we are having this like generational struggle to still define what a woman is.
And maybe that's what it is. They don't even realize what they're experiencing is a constant silent panic over what it is to be a woman because the rest of society won't allow you to have a definition for it.
Right, exactly. I think that is actually what's bubbling under the surface here. But I'm not going to write a think piece about it like these journalists who are doing the most right now. I'm going to be demure and I'm going to be mindful and I'm going to and not write think pieces about the demure TikTok trend because I'm very demure and I'm very mindful. I'm very cutesy.
Correct. Let's move on and let's do Crisis. Let's finish the super chats.
No Diggity said, yup, Circuit City in Roseville, Minnesota is now a PF.
It's a Planet Fitness. I was right.
Oh my goodness.
Yes! That's amazing. Holy crap. That's the one I used to.
I almost thought they were going to say PF Chang.
That's the one that I lived by because I lived in a town called Little Canada, which was just outside of Roseville.
So you're basically a frostback.
Yes, I'm basically a frostback. It's a Planet Fitness. That's amazing.
You know your area.
Maybe I saw it and it's like in my brain somewhere, and I like it was in the back of my brain, which is why that came to me. I don't know. I don't think so. I haven't been out that way since I've been home to visit. So.
Possible.
Damn.
Tacti Plati said Circuit City was like Best Buy, not Radio Shack.
Well, yeah, but the point is they're both businesses that sold electronics that are no longer here. Best Buy is still around.
Honestly, I don't know what the difference was supposed to be between Best Buy and Radio Shack.
Radio Shack was smaller, much smaller, and it's basically like you went there to get parts and stuff.
I went in there a time or two. Bombchis said Y2K was only a nothing burger because tens of thousands of programmers worked millions of man hours manually fixing the code for every important system in the world. Basically, no downloadable updates.
Sony needs to make a movie about that then.
Hidden Figures.
Yeah.
Everyone that you just mentioned was a black woman.
We can have Ian star.
All of the programmers were black women.
Have Ian involved in it and have it called Free the Code.
That would be cool.
There you go.
Garrett Lancaster said, we need a Dresden Files show reboot that follows the novels closely.
Yeah, I read the first 3 novels in the series, and it definitely does not follow them in any way. But I did have a lot of fun with that show. I think Paul Blackthorne and Valerie, is it Valerie Cruz? They're both fantastic actors. They did a great job in that.
Award-winning blank said, Mary, I'm not reading that.
Well,
you really get a kick out of it, don't you? Brian Bledsoe said Cracker Barrel, maple, bacon, grilled chicken, and Olive Garden chicken Alfredo for the win. Let's go.
There you go. Again, all things. I'm not a big chicken person. I'm just not. I'm not.
Who says that?
I'm not.
So you don't eat any seafood.
I do
eat chicken.
I do eat chicken, but if I have a choice between steak and chicken, I take steak every time.
What the hell do you eat?
Steak.
That's it?
Yeah.
All right.
I've given up on hamburgers recently because of the bread.
What?
And have been eating
Why?
Well, just trying to eat less carbs.
Okay.
And have been doing rice and ground beef rather than the bread.
That's good. Shane H. Wilder said, Mary ruined my algo. I've seen the cringe already.
That's what happens.
I'm going to need to get creative. I don't know what we're going to do here. Alvin McGoth said, Mary wants to see Elon do AOC.
I mean, she would like to see him he would like to see him take her on a date and her be very demure while on that date.
I think that he could de-radicalize her.
Think so?
But you don't need to be weird about it, bro. Award-winning blank said, cringe of the day. Thanks, I hate it. Oh, I already read that one. Sorry. Potatoes for Seamus said, wait, we are supposed to stop trick-or-treating? Bro is just in his 30s.
He's like, look, I'm tall. I can't help it.
I'm just a very, very tall 12-year-old. Gordon Shumway said safe, legal, and rare went out the window when Lena Dunham said that she never had an abortion but wishes that she did in a speech. We are doomed.
Yeah, that stuff is that's the stuff that's part of the death cult, the celebration of abortion. And it is going to be the deciding factor of this election season, I think, even more than the economy.
That's just so crazy to me.
Like we're
we really are the
I'm
great
literally watching people cheer for freaking 44% capital gains tax or whatever it was, and the 28% unrealized gains tax, while talking about how it's a good thing. It's a good thing that you should be hamstrung from being able to create a future for your family because a rich well, not even a dynastic politician, because there's no other Obamas in office. The rich wife of a rich politician said so.
Oh, Michelle did?
Yes.
Okay. Gordon Shumway, sorry, High Voltage 75 said, Ben and Brad should have taken the Leo approach to relationships. Would have saved them a lot of misery. By never getting married. I mean,
you know what else will create?
I would say that's not a great approach to relationships.
You know what else will create misery? Taxing unrealized gains, you psychopaths. Okay, continue. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
You should go to the DNC and like hop on stage and tell everybody the truth.
I did say, was that actually Matt Walsh that was there? That was amazing.
It was.
That's amazing.
I don't know if he was intending to get caught. Was he?
I have no idea.
I don't know. Shane H. Wilder said, Brett, yes, The Crow is dark and gritty, but at its core, it's a purgatorial story and about what one would do for the person they love.
Yeah, so it is very important. Like the gruesome nature of what happens to Eric and Shelley is obviously important, but you have to be shown that. I'm actually very interested to see the way in which they show their murder and her rape. Which is not shown on screen, but it's edited and cut in such a frenetic way that you can feel the chaos around them and the evil. And I'm interested to see how they show that in this film. I also don't know if I believe 100% that they're going to allow her character to just die and not be brought back in some way as well.
Like through flashbacks?
No, I think they'll use, like, the best thing they could do would be to use her in flashback, right? But the worst thing they could do would be to like resurrect her too. Again, I don't know if there's precedent for that in the comics or if that ever happened. I did not read them, but the story is about him, you know, getting revenge for the woman that he loved, for the life that he lost, dying on the eve of their wedding. And seeing his, you know, the woman that he loved raped and murdered before he dies. It's like you understand how a person could be brought back to life for revenge from a trauma like that. An actual use of the word trauma. It's going to be very interesting. And you're right. But the gritty nature of it is tied directly to how horrific the crimes in that film are, not just the atmosphere.
Pat the Plumber said, if I ever run into my hero, Brett Dasovic, I'm 100% asking for a hug. Let's go.
It's different asking for a dude for a hug, I think, than asking. Like, am I wrong? Like,
would you say yes?
No. What I'll agree to is the Keanu Reeves picture with the floating hand.
Okay, so no hugs.
I'll do an air hug like this.
Guys, today we learned that
I will shake hands.
If you ever ask me or Brett for a hug, it's gonna be a no.
I'll give the dudes hugs. I don't think you can give the women hugs. You don't want to give me two.
True. Shane H. Wilder said, Chapel Roan sounds like someone who has never had a slice of humble pie. Humility goes a long way.
Yeah.
It's kind of a fake, it's a humble brag, like you were saying.
It was, yeah. It wasn't even a well hidden humble brag.
I'm not even like anybody.
I'm just like a regular girl.
Yeah.
What do you even like me for? Go download my new album. Miss me with that nonsense.
Corey Anderson said, I spent all day shooting guns in North Carolina. Must have shot 500 rounds today. My job is fun. That's your job?
That's
awesome. You're like an instructor? That's cool.
That's awesome.
Pat the Plumber said, Bar Fight Morgan is Brat on Saturday. Mary Morgan is Demure on Sunday.
Okay, that should be a meme, right? It's you in a fight and then you on Sunday.
That's great.
In your church, in your Sunday best.
Yeah. I love the dichotomy. Shane H. Wilder said that
we contain multitudes, Mary.
Yes. That 5 o'clock shadow is not very demure.
Not at all.
Not cutesy. Very ugly. Surenko Productions said, so if Chi-Chi is his chest, is his Chocho his ... Look, I don't know, man.
Yep.
I don't even want to know. Username I'm not going to read said Alexandrion. Is that their ship name?
That's their, I guess.
Okay. Doesn't hit the same.
No, I was hoping you would use Ocasio as the one that you connect to it because Ocasio is a more...
Moscasio.
Yeah.
Moscasio. Shane H. Wilder said, damn it, Surenko, straight to reconciliation. Oh, about the Chocho? Yeah.
Victor White has an answer for that in the regular chat, but I'm not going to read it.
You're not?
No.
Okay. Shane H. Wilder said, Little Canada, so Brett is a short frostback.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm an honorary frostback because I'm from Woodbury, which is actually very, very close to Wisconsin, which is close to Canada.
Yurishima Otaru said Radio Shack had electronic components for DIY.
Yeah, so if you wanted to fix your ham radio and things at home.
Isn't that illegal?
Oh, ham radio? I have no idea.
I don't know.
But if you wanted to fix your electronics at home.
DCNC said Office Space is already the perfect Y2K movie.
I have to rewatch Office Space soon.
Is it a Y2K movie?
Yes.
It's about Y2K?
Doesn't it, if I remember correctly, it's like updating files for Y2K, right?
That's what they do?
Yeah, that's what, if I remember correctly.
I'm sure that it created a whole bunch of jobs. So it was good for the economy. Garrett Lancaster said, Brett, you should watch the Godzilla show Monarch.
Yes, I've been told. Again, I will never have Apple TV. You will never convince me to have Apple TV. I don't have a monocle. I don't have a top hat. I don't have a butler. I can't have Apple TV. I'm not pretentious enough. I don't like 824 either.
Is it pretentious?
It's in my brain. I think of it as pretentious.
Severance is so good, though.
Okay.
You should watch Severance on an alternative streaming platform. Shane H. Wilder said, so Brett only eats dirty rice? What?
What?
What makes it dirty?
I eat white rice and ground beef lately. I'll eat chicken and fried rice. Like I do like chicken and fried rice, but that's not exactly healthy.
Mm-hmm.
But I like it.
Well, I don't know. A lot of people say that you should clean your rice.
Like cleaning your chicken?
Yeah.
I'm not doing that.
There was a whole new argument over whether you should wash chicken on Twitter the other day. It was insane. And the CDC is just like, please don't.
Stop doing this.
Sup, my dude said.
We're about 3/4 of the way to a fourth crisis party, guys.
Can you please tell us if you wash your chicken before you cook it?
They're saying you're supposed to rinse your rice, but what if you make like the 90-second rice packets? You're not supposed to put water in those. I'm assuming it's been washed beforehand.
If it's like uncooked, yeah.
Okay.
Sup, my dude said, at 35, I'm old enough to remember the original J-Lo and Ben relationship, which ended after the god-awful movie Geely, which killed director Martin Brest's career and thousands of people's brain cells.
Again, here's the question, though. What would you rather be? Like, would you rather be the person that made a bunch of art that nobody remembers? Or somebody who created something so infamous that everybody remembers it?
I wish Madam Web reached that level.
You know who a better example would be? Shonda Rhimes, who got to help create something as awful as Crossroads, but then went on to be.
Was it awful?
No, I loved it, but that's not the point. It's not exactly thought of fondly, right? I think of Crossroads the same way I think of the Spice Girls movie. Pure 90s art.
There's a Spice Girls movie?
Oh yeah, Spice World. Oh yeah.
This is totally news.
It's when they saved the world from aliens by letting aliens give them kisses.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Pat the plumber said, how do you know I'm a dude? I apologize if I misgendered you.
That is true. Pat could necessarily not be a dude.
Shane H. Wilder said there is no precedent for Shelley to come back in the precedent for Shelley to come back in the comic. She made it to heaven while Eric was stuck in purgatory from not being able to save her.
It's so from what I remember, what I understand, the creator of that comic wrote it. He created it to deal with the death of his wife or his fiance who died at the hands of a drunk driver. So it's how he processed his trauma, right? And then he said that losing Brandon Lee on the set of the movie was like doing it all over again.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah,
imagine that. Like, dude's life has just been full of loss.
Yeah, I saw someone posted a screenshot from Kelsey Grammer's Wikipedia page, and it was talking about all of these tragic losses that he's experienced throughout his life.
Who?
Kelsey Grammer.
Oh, okay.
I think it said his dad died, and then he was raised by his grandparents, and then one of them died, and then both of his brothers died at totally different ways. And
maybe he's no.
I mean, maybe he's at fault. No. But yeah, it maybe makes someone more funny.
I mean, you deal with a lot of people. A lot of the funniest comedians have had tragic backstories, have had tragic lives. You deal with trauma through humor.
So most of the time. I mean,
I'm saying you can. It can be an
There's
outlet
something
for
tragic about being a comedian to begin with.
I mean, I really do have more respect for stand-up comedians than almost any form of performer, because that is one of the most difficult things in the world. Look, being funny is difficult enough as it is, and everybody's experienced that thing where you tell a joke and the room just, nobody laughs, right? To actively put yourself in a position where all you're going to do is tell jokes and all they're going to do is not laugh takes an unbelievable amount of either courage, ego, or insanity.
All three.
Or all
probably.
three put
a
together,
mix of
right?
all three.
And I have a lot of respect for people who do that.
It says Kelsey Grammer was raised by his mom and maternal grandparents. And when he was 12 years old, his grandfather died of cancer. And then in 1968, his father was murdered. And then in 1975, his sister was kidnapped, raped, and murdered.
What?
And then in 1980, his 2 teenage half-brothers died in a scuba diving accident.
Like, knowing him is like a horrible thing.
Yeah.
Like, don't, like...
Maybe he's actually a bad luck charm.
Everybody meets him on set and they're like, look, I like you, but...
Stay away.
Stay away.
Yeah, the poor guy, though.
I could have added the show Boss from Kelsey Grammer into that list from earlier. If you can find Boss with Kelsey Grammer and Kathleen Robertson, go and check that one out.
Frasier is still my comfort show, though.
There you go. That's a good one.
Shane H. Wilder said ham radio. I'm more of a steak radio man myself.
Well, I can't blame you for that.
Thumbs down. High Voltage 75 said Alondria.
Ooh, I like it.
Does that work?
But it would be with an E. Elondria.
Cole GGGGL said, okay, but Masters of the Air on Apple TV is a W.
Look, here's the thing. I understand that people like high art, that people like great evocative storytelling. You're
just not one of those people.
I'm not one of those people. Okay? I like traditional basic fare, and that's fine.
Well, I don't think Severance is like high art type of stuff. It's basically like, it's not exactly like it, but it's sort of similar to Westworld.
I give Apple TV a lot of credit for not going traditionally down the IP route. Certainly they've made Godzilla stuff, but for the most part they're creating original content, and it's very hard to build their platform without, buying up. Apple could have easily bought up some major IP early on. They've got the money to do that.
The worst thing they did was make Gutsy with Hillary Clinton.
Ugh.
Rhaegar Targaryen said Popeyes serves dirty rice. It's great.
Okay.
I don't know what that means. I hope it's not actually dirty. The Rumbling said El Casio or Alexus.
El Casio is awesome.
El Casio?
El Casio is fantastic. Or maybe it's like El Casio Core Tusk.
I somehow hate every new iteration more.
El Casio Core Tusk.
Shane H. Wilder said there is a Creole dish called dirty rice, which is just rice mixed with ground beef with cayenne and black pepper.
I mean, that's basically what I'm eating. So I'm eating a Creole dish.
Nice.
But I've been trying to eat it without even putting a lot of pepper on it or stuff, because I've heard that like even that can be bad for your, if you're trying to prevent your, because it holds water. Your body holds more water, just like with salt.
Okay.
Water retention, right? So
I put hot sauce on like literally everything I eat. So
and even
I'm gonna keep doing that.
When I'm eating like ground beef and rice, I'm like, this, even for me, this is plain.
Yeah.
But again, feudal.
It's fuel.
Feudal
You're
attempts.
nourishing your body. Don't. No.
I don't have it. What did I hit Dane with that one day?
You threw like the notepad at him. Hit him square in the glasses. You're nourishing your body. Yorishima Otaru said American rice is pre-washed and fortified. Do not wash. Okay. Josh Peterson said shout out to Roseville and Little Canada. I grew up in Forest Lake.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome.
Is that close?
It's in the general area. I didn't make it out to Forest Lake all that much. I worked over by I worked kind of over that by there. I worked in Columbia Heights for a while, so in a similar direction.
Rhaegar Targaryen said cleaning rice is like cleaning groceries in 2020. I agree. People freak out about cleaning stuff. Like,
arguably the less you clean, the more your immune system picks up, and then you're just healthier.
Maybe like if I buy some strawberries, I'll rinse them off. Other than that,
weak.
Like,
let your
who
body
cares?
figure it out.
I mean, even that, yeah, like who really cares? Garrett Lancaster said Crisis Party. Did we reach one?
Yes, we will get there.
Okay.
It will go off. But then again, like I'm pretty healthy for the most part. I was a little bit sick earlier this year for a couple of days, but that was about it. I had a couple of days where I felt mildly under the weather and thought it was allergies.
Strong as a horse. Is that the saying? I don't know.
Strong as an ox.
Never mind.
Healthy as a horse.
Healthy as a horse, strong as an ox.
Yes.
An awesome person said 9 minutes over. Nice.
Well, we're getting there.
Gordon Shumway said Pat is totally androgynous. Do you not remember the SNL skit?
Oh, yes.
I thought that was what
Pat the plumber.
referring to.
Yeah, Pat the plumber, but also Pat from can't do that anymore.
No. Now it's just Ella Emhoff at the DNC. We're not sure what her pronouns are.
I like the one person that said it said Kamala Harris's stepdaughter looks like every Seinfeld character combined.
I saw that, yeah. And dresses like all of them as well. Like dresses in that weird.
Yeah. She looks like an older version of McKenna Grace in the first Ghostbusters.
Yes. I was saying it's so distracting how much McKenna Grace looks like Ella Emhoff in that movie, and I was the only person who thought that.
No, she does.
I was probably the only person in the theater who was like distracted by that.
I mean, she looked even more like the 12-year-old version of that in the original because she's wearing like the overalls and the
But I do think Ella Emhoff has some potential. Like, I think she could be pretty if she stopped making herself ugly.
There's something hilarious about the idea that they're pushing the idea of Mamala on a presidential candidate that doesn't actually have biological children.
Yeah. And they're going to call her the consoler in chief.
When you said that, I almost vomited all over this keyboard and went and just jumped out the window. I wanted to.
I'm glad you didn't.
I wanted to. I was like, that is like, I have more respect for just evil politicians that sell you lies than I do absolute morons who buy something like that and think of it as viable political means of voting.
Like, do we want?
I have strong disdain for somebody. I have strong disdain for anybody who hears consoler in chief and doesn't retch.
Yeah, that's why most people shouldn't vote.
At least the evil politician who came up with it required some brain power to understand that okay, I'm controlling my language, that their evil campaign that plays on emotions would work. They're evil. They've got a slogan. It's going to work. I have way more disdain for the person who falls for such garbage.
Well, that's why they shouldn't vote.
Yep.
Wyatt Kaldenberg said Frasier's producer died in one of 9/11 planes.
Dang, I didn't know that. Wow.
So he's just people are just dropping like flies around Kelsey Grammer, or what's the deal there? Is he like a Bermuda Triangle of a person?
Poor guy.
It's kind of weird. Quiet and Ari said, if you like hot sauce, come to Louisiana, Mary. I'm sure I will at some point.
An authentic.
It wasn't really on my list.
An authentic tin can says Brett and Mary must have something they don't want to do today to be lasting this long after 2. We used to go 2 hours and 16 minutes over all the time.
I mean, we stay as long as you guys are sending super chats. That's how this works.
Like you get mad when we leave at 58 because we finished
we can't
the super
do
chats.
anything right. If
Seriously.
we leave early, you're mad. If we stay too long, you're mad. What do? We can't do anything right. Shane H. Wilder said, Mary uses hot sauce on everything. You sure you aren't Texan? Because we wean babies on hot sauce out here. Yep. I wasn't always good at tolerating spice, but I don't know. Something just a switch flipped for me.
For that? That was like me when I decided one day I liked tomatoes.
Yeah.
Just one day I was like, never mind.
It's part of growing up.
Yeah.
Eventually you'll eat seafood.
By 60, I'll be eating seafood, I'm sure.
Hopefully.
Yeah. All right, before we go, guys, would you hit the like button on this video and subscribe to this channel if you have not done so already, and make sure that when you watch these segments and the live streams, you're sharing them out with your friends and your family, your loved ones, and the people that you hate as well. Mary, where can they find you?
You can send me validation on Instagram at Mary Archived, or you can send me hate on X. That is also Mary Archived. I think we have another from the Rumbling. Brett, you would love Slow Horses on Apple TV? Are you going to get Apple TV after all of this?
I'm never
pleading
going to have
Okay.
Apple TV. I'm not going to do it, guys. Yeah, just no. All right. If you guys would like to follow me, I am on Instagram and on Twix at Brett Dasovic on both of those platforms. This show is here 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is noon Pacific. We are on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, and Spotify if you would prefer to listen rather than watch this show. And if you want to follow the show on social media, we are on Twix at popculture_show, Facebook and not TikTok because we are banned on TikTok at Pop Culture Crisis, and I almost said on Apple TV.
Not on Apple TV.
And on Instagram, at Pop Culture Crisis Pod. At Pop Culture Crisis Pod on Apple TV. That's where we are.
Yes.
Guys, we got a couple more there.
Shane H. Wilder, I appreciate y'all whether you go long or short.
Thank you for that. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we will be back with another episode tomorrow. We'll see you then.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.